It's The Big Show Unfiltered.
With your host, Glenn Ordway.
The Big O.
Today on The Big Show Unfiltered.
This is Richard Nixon from the grave. I've learned a very valuable lesson. Always ask, is that thing on?
We're joined by Jerry Thornton, here to impart his sports knowledge and random esoteric postulations.
What is the point of being a rapper if you don't have a penis?
Donald Sterling is still banned for life, which, at his age, and the amount of new enemies he's just made, might not be all that long.
I am banning Mr. Sterling for life from any association with the Clippers organization or the NBA.
Greg Murphy is here laying down the laws of sports fan conduct.
If you're older than the guy that you want to boo, you can't boo. You're a loser.
And Pete Shepard's just laying down the law, period.
Stop playing like pussies and do something.
All that and the Big O on this Donald Sterling Sucks edition of...
He has zero redeeming value.
The Big Show
Unfiltered.
I don't understand what.
Nothing.
That racism still is alive?
No, that there's a culture.
What culture?
People feel certain things. Hispanics feel certain things towards blacks. Blacks feel certain things towards other groups. It's been that way historically, and it will always be that way.
But it's not that way in my heart.
All right, those are obviously the words of Donald Sterling. You've heard enough of him, I'm sure, over the last 4 or 5 days. And my understanding is there is a lot more. And
100 hours.
Yeah, and I'm wondering whether it makes any sense and whether that stuff is going to be played out. My guess is that TMZ is moving on to other things right now. You know, they're trying to find some other people. I said this yesterday, and it's interesting. I'll get to Jason Whitlock in a few minutes. He brings up some excellent points. So what we've done here is we've said that Donald Sterling is a racist. He's not the first person who's a racist. He's not the last. He's not the first wealthy racist. He won't be the last. He won't be the first racist who has had control of a sports team or entertainment vehicle, and he won't be the last. But the question is, by setting the precedent, which they did yesterday, which is basically saying you can no longer own this thing. In other words, we're going to force you to relinquish your assets. Does he not set the precedent? And I heard Dennis and Callahan talking about this morning, and it's viable. The Orlando Magic owner is a guy who is a very religious, and he really has difficulty dealing with 2014 with this whole gay marriage. It's really a problem for him. Matter of fact, he just doesn't believe in the whole premise of same-sex marriage. He has said a lot of things. He's probably going to say more things as time goes on. And there probably could be some tapes of him. Now, I'm not just pointing him out. I'm just saying that he's a likely candidate to say something that people are going to disagree with, or a majority of the people are going to disagree with it. You had a case where you've got Mark Jackson, coach of the Golden State Warriors. He has also said some stuff that could be construed as being homophobic. Where do we suddenly now, if the precedent is set that you're banned from the game, if anybody else shows any tendencies to be racist, homophobic, or whatever, is the precedent set that what you do now is you say, I'm sorry, you're out of the game, you're banned?
I mean, is it picking and choosing which people you upset?
It might come down to that.
If there was a homosexual basketball league and he made these, would he be thrown out of the league? My point is, everyone says this, the NBA is a black league. It is. It's a majority of African-American players. And that's who was pissed off in this situation, rightfully so. We're all pissed, but that's who was affected the most by these comments. So is it just you pick and choose which people you offend, and that's why?
Well, I mean that's where it opens up a gigantic can of worms.
It does.
I mean, it's gigantic because it's like when the NFL tried to concoct that rule this year, or tried to get it through.
Yes.
About what language is racially going to invoke a penalty. I mean, that's
Right.
It's too vague. You can't do it.
Right. And the people who screamed the loudest about that were, in fact, black people who used the term that they wanted to ban, and they use it like commonly, like as a show of affection or whatever, for lack of a better term. And they were the ones who were furious. You can't regulate that. And then now the league was backed into a corner of, do we say only certain players can use it, but certain players can't? You know what I mean? Like now Can a Samoan say it? No, but a white guy can't, but a black guy can, or whatever.
Well, do you think that if the NFL was made up of 78% Native Americans, that the Redskins would still be a team name? Probably not.
That issue
I'm going to go with not. Anybody else going with not?
I'm going with no.
But that issue is going to resurface again.
It should.
Very shortly.
The clock is ticking on that, and I mean it's a side issue, but the Cold Hard Football Facts did a great article about the name Redskins, and it actually began as a term of honor, of endearment, and
until you break it down.
No, but I mean, their logo was a famous Indian chief who was like basically almost like the Martin Luther King of Native Americans, whatever. And it started off as a completely positive, honoring thing, no different than say Fighting Irish or whatever. But time changes, and now it's harder to defend that, and nobody wants to ruin their career because they're going to defend friggin' Daniel Snyder's team name or whatever, and that's, I think, what motivates this a lot.
Well, I mean, and then you look at a logo like the Cleveland Indians, who, first of all, the name Indians is so offensive to that group anyway because nobody calls them that anymore, and it's a cartoon character of Chief Wahoo.
Yeah,
a one-feather guy.
Yeah, but again, I'm an Irishman. Look at the Fighting Irish. It's look at that drunken Mick with his fist up, ready to brawl in a bar or whatever. I just happen to not be offended by that characterization.
Neither am I. I'm not.
You know what I mean?
I'm not
I
either.
told
you.
The one thing being Italian American, 100%, the one thing that used to piss off my mother more than anything was two things. One, anything that had to do with SpaghettiOs. And two, when they used to show the old ragu commercials, which I'm proud to say I've never had that or SpaghettiOs in my life, stick the spoon in the pot, lick the spoon, and put it back in the pot. My mother, to this day, still freaks out about stuff like that.
I'd be with her on that.
What does that have to do with it?
I don't know.
I'm telling you. It's about saying
the Cleveland pot lickers.
It has more to do with cleanliness.
It's about how Jerry's not offended by the Fighting Irish guy, and some people, and we've heard Native Americans not offended by the Washington Redskins.
But we know the list, though. There's a list, and there's a list of the sensitivity priority list.
Oh, of course.
We know what it is.
Yes.
And, if there were hue and cry about Irish people being pissed off, that they bring up the fighting drunks or whatever they want to call them, if there were enough people bitching about that, then that would be high up on the list. And we know what's high up on the list. That's why I thought today Jason Whitlock's piece was very, very interesting. And he loves to go counter to what everybody else is thinking. And as you know, those are usually the best articles. They're usually quite interesting and fascinating. So here he goes. He's talking about what has transpired here in the last 72 hours. He says, mob rule is dangerous. Well-intentioned, TV-baited mobs are the most dangerous. They do not consider the consequences of their actions, and they're prone to take a simple-minded, instant gratification approach to justice rather than a strategic one. Removing Donald Sterling from the NBA solves nothing. It sets a precedent that will likely boomerang and harm the black players and coaches who are shocked and outraged that an 80-year-old man with a documented history of bigoted actions also has bigoted private thoughts. Let's be careful here. From the owner's box to the locker room, professional sports are overrun with wealthy men in complicated, volatile, sexual relationships. If TMZ plans to make pillow talk public, and the standard is set that pillow talk is actionable, it won't be long before a parade of athletes joins Sterling on Ignorance Island. A right to privacy is at the very foundation of American freedoms. It is a core value. It's a mistake to undermine a core value because we don't like the way a billionaire exercises it. What happens when a disgruntled lover gives TMZ a tape of a millionaire athlete expressing a homophobic or anti-Semitic or anti-white perspective? Warriors coach Mark Jackson, who called for Clipper fans to boycott Game 5, seems quite vulnerable to mob rule. Jackson is super religious. He's previously been extorted by a stripper he kept as a mistress. And some of the LGBT community views Jackson as homophobic. The conversation revolving around Donald Sterling is unsophisticated, and so was the heavy-handed punishment. They're driven by emotion rather than logic. It does not serve the greater good of the offended black community. Sterling is a scapegoat. He's an easy target, a decoy so that we do not address the elephant that he walked into his mistress' bedroom. We don't evaluate what's right or wrong, Sterling is heard telling his black and Latino mistress when she asked if it was right to treat blacks as less than white. Quote, we live in a society. We live in a culture. We have to live within that culture. Sterling adheres to a pervasive culture, the hierarchy established by the global white supremacy. I don't want to change the culture because I can't, Sterling said. It's too big. This was Sterling's one moment of clarity. The culture of white supremacy created by Donald Sterling. He did not create the culture. And then he goes on, obviously, to talk about it and about other owners and where this is all going to possibly lead to. But I think he brings up an excellent point, is that all we're doing is now that you set the standard yesterday by banning this guy. And I think we all agree that it was the smartest thing he could do to prevent what was going on here. But does this not set you up for the next time we have a tape? And you guys know what TMZ is like. We talked about this yesterday. TMZ is unbelievable with this stuff.
Right.
I mean, they're king of the gutters right now. I mean, Barstool Sports is trying hard, but I'm sorry they're finishing second to TMZ right now. They
Everybody
own it.
is.
Yeah, but we are trying
You're
hard.
trying hard.
We're gonna get there.
hard.
If I can just
Right.
get more crazy ass mistresses to give me tapes
There you go.
of people.
There you go.
Right, and this is something that's been totally under talked about to this point. Is she's taping a conversation with this guy, which is frigging as illegal as
No.
second.
We've gone over this. That's her job. She's an archivist. He hired her to tape everything they talk
she's
about.
got carte blanche
But
for-
here's
okay.
here's
Yeah,
but here's the question.
yeah.
Here's the question we don't know. We don't know how the tapes got into the hands of TMZ.
She said it wasn't her.
So who was it then?
Somebody trying to make money. I don't believe her.
I bet you Sterling blamed the black maid.
Maybe. I don't believe her, but she's saying that somebody took it from her.
She's got all the credibility of a Disney star.
Yeah.
Turning 18 and releasing a selfie of like her in lingerie and go,
Yes.
I don't know where that came
and
from. It's a career move.
Normally normally there's ways to tell somebody's lying. They look up and to the left if they're lying, but you can't tell when they're wearing a welder's mask
Yes.
if they're lying or not because you can't see their eyes. So it's a big problem.
72 hours ago, however long it was, did anybody know that this woman existed or
No.
care?
No.
Right. And
No.
so now she's going to end up with her own talk show. I mean,
Yes.
Sterling.
Well,
might
she wants
too
to be
on-
president, so
Yeah.
I would think.
Tell me she's born in Mexico. Please tell me she's born in Mexico. So
I
she
don't
doesn't
know.
even qualify to be a president.
I do
And
not.
by the way, when I'm worth, I believe it's 1.9 billion. Is that? I
He's
heard
up
that
over
number
two.
going up.
That's what they think his net worth
Okay,
is.
when I'm worth that, and it won't be long now, I hope my conversations are a little more interesting than hers. You know what I mean? Like they're the two of the most vapid, vacuous, tedious individuals I've ever heard in my life. Have you ever been part of a conversation like that
No.
in your entire life?
No.
But what about's in your heart that you love people? I'm not saying I don't. And I don't care if you have sex with Magic Johnson, just don't take a picture with him. How hard is this?
But what about Larry Bird?
Larry Bird.
You can't have sex with Larry Bird, but if you take a picture with him, now that's okay.
What
But if
about-
you
she goes,
and
what
don't
if-
take
what
him to a
if it wa-
basketball
What
game.
if it was Larry Bird? I put Larry. First Isaiah, now this guy.
He's
This
like the
girl.
designated white guy. You
Somewhere-
know, when in search of a white guy, fill in the line here, Larry
I
Bird.
know, he retired like 25 years ago. He's the only white basketball player she can name.
I said, how about Kyle Corver? We can't
I
think of
know.
somebody else.
Somewhere
Why
Chris
not?
Mullins. Chris Mullins going, thank Christ you didn't say
Or John
that."
Why not John Stockton?
I mean, Scalabrini's over there. Hello, I'm right here. Somebody pay attention
Jack
to me.
Sigma.
Dan Marley. We go through the
Dan
list.
Marley.
See, that's the thing, guys.
Danny
That's,
H.
that's crazy. This guy that's worth $2 billion, owner of a professional sports franchise, was taken down because he wanted a little on the side from a 31-year-old girl.
Right.
That's what it's about. Now, is he alone?
No.
Is he? And that's what Jason Whitlock is saying. Because what Whitlock is saying here is not only is he not alone with other owners, but he's not much different than the players. And what he's doing is he's throwing it right back at the players and the black players saying, what about you? What about if you're caught with some woman? What about if you get caught with some of this? Because let's face it, what Donald Sterling did is despicable, okay? And people are talking about it, and rightfully so, and they're talking around the clock about it. Are people talking around the clock about Ray Rice and what he did to his girlfriend, who's now his wife? Are people talking? Apparently, just cold cocked her and beat the crap out of her in an elevator.
And I wonder why
And it
they
was
got married
about-
so quick.
Yeah, exactly.
Maybe because she can't testify
He
against
got
him?
he got indicted, and then they got married the next
Because
day.
she can't
Yeah.
testify against him.
My wife and I went to the Cape just before our wedding. You know, there were no assault and batteries. No one got dragged off an
So,
elevator.
but that's what like I'm saying is suppose that you get a player now, and the same thing happens. Is the player supposed to not get similar treatment? Is that what we're basing everything on? Are we basing the penalty on you can never be part of the game ever again?
Oh yeah, it's the other side of the internet sword, and God bless the internet. Every day I thank God for it. I was away from it for 4 days at a resort, and I went out of my mind.
They didn't have internet at Costa Rica?
They claimed to have.
How much it cost?
They claimed to have this Wi-Fi that was free for like 90 minutes. I couldn't get the thing to work. I waited
Sounds
until like
familiar.
Thursday. I held out till Thursday.
Yeah, but
and right, it was.
didn't it
I don't know.
feel
It was
good,
like
though?
being on an internet
Did you feel
radio
naked?
show. Like nobody could. It was hard to go through with the withdrawal. But at the same time, without any internet, if I got involved with someone,
how does Brady watch porn when he's in Costa Rica?
I think he can, just look next to him, and he's going to see the best porn he possibly could. It was, and I will tell you this. Had I done anything like embarrassing, like at least I don't have the internet to like record it forever, because we live in a world where whatever you do, someone's got a camera on you, someone's got an open mic, and you almost can get away with nothing. So yeah, anyone who's celebrating that Sterling got taken down on this is one TMZ blog away from
you don't
the
think
same thing.
You don't think there are going to be conversations with athletes who are out at a bar, let's say, and they happen to be hanging around women, and some of them are going to have one of these little iPhones, a little Android phone, and it's got a little recording device, and it's got video. We've seen it. That's what TMZ lives for. That's what they all live for. You don't think there are going to be more stories about players, and players say so? Are we going to treat players, if they make comments right now, racial comments, homophobic comments, are we going to treat them differently? Because now what we've done is we've had an invasion of privacy here, all right? An invasion of privacy, because you can say, he recorded it, but he didn't release it.
He did not release it.
So it's an invasion of privacy. Is that now going to be acceptable to where we can basically say, screw you, we're taking all your possessions away, and you can just fend for yourself here because you made these statements? I mean, as horrific as the statements are, there aren't statements made like that every single day by prominent people?
Oh, yeah. Do you think athletes might say something remotely sexist once in a while?
Yes.
You know what I mean? Like, what if they had cameras following around the 70s Bruins?
Whoa.
You know what I mean? When they were getting, like, lit up at Daisy
Or
Buchanan's or
70s
Mary
any team.
Ann's on a nightly basis.
70s any team, really.
Yeah.
How about the Oakland A's back? I mean, the Red Sox even. Any
Steelers
team.
might have been a trip.
Yeah.
They might have been a trip following that team around.
Ted Williams was a guy who enjoyed the company of a lady he had never met before once in a while. Imagine, like, when there were 9 newspapers in town and every one of them knew that they could make a buck off of catching him, just, I don't know, shooting pigeons or whatever. If they caught him on a nightly basis, like trolling, bars in Boston like he used to, I mean, yeah, it's a damn slippery slope.
Suppose an NFL owner, because that's your wheelhouse. Suppose an NFL owner is recorded in a private conversation talking about Michael Sam and saying something disparaging towards gays or drafting gays or having gays in the same stadium or whatever. Suppose he does something like that and somebody has it on. Is there pressure now?
What if he just
on Roger Goodell based on what we've seen
What about
here?
the magic word? What if he just utters the magic word, the F word, that F word?
Sure. Oh, yeah. I mean, then Goodell is going to have to make the bold, courageous decision, which is to crumble in the face of public pressure and do whatever it takes to save. It's that line from Blazing Saddles. We've got to save our phony baloney jobs, gentlemen.
One of my
That's
all-time
what it's
favorite
all
lines.
about.
One of my
Once
all-time
you-
favorite lines.
Oh, yeah. And once
so
you start
appropriate,
losing
right.
sponsors,
Right.
which is, I think, what precipitated what the league did. It all started when the Clippers started losing corporate sponsorships. You know what I mean? These guys are all motivated by the almighty buck, and public image is only one manifestation of that. And if they weren't losing money in the Sterling deal, I don't know, who knows? Maybe they just like slap him on the wrist, cost them a draft pick or something, and that's it.
So great first effort by the new commissioner, and he did what he had to do to avert what we now know would have been a boycotting of at least 3 games in the NBA and maybe more. But what does he do now? It's not like you suddenly, and that's what I think a lot of people think right now. They think this thing's going to happen quickly. Unless Donald Sterling is willing to say, Go get me $1 billion because they'll be able to find it. Go get me $1 billion. The Bucks sold for
$525, I think.
Something 35 or something like that. Sacramento for $550 or something. Go get me $1 billion if Sterling says that, and I'll get out. Unless he does that, if he puts his feet in the trench and says, "Screw you, you're going to have to take me out screaming." What are they going to do? Because his wife or his son-in-law are going to control the team in October when they start playing again.
All right, what happens if it's that we already know he's lost a bunch of sponsors already, just from a Clipper standpoint, inside the stadium? What if it trickles down, Glenn, to the NBA? What with the new TV contract coming up? What if all these sponsors say, we're not giving you dime one?
Give who dime one?
The NBA.
They're going to give the NBA whatever they want.
They're golden now.
They're golden.
No, but
Adam Silver just set it up so that the sponsors are going to spend more money.
We're just short of an Adam Silver statue in front of every,
I think you're
every
right.
stadium.
No, I get that. I'm saying, but what if for some reason Donald Sterling is still technically owns the team?
Well, he does.
He does.
I know, but I'm saying what. And you
already heard it. You already heard it. The one who stood up the highest and said, "I'm not going to play for this guy," now says technically he'll play for this guy. Yeah. If she's in charge, Doc's going to play. He's going to coach.
I'm not convinced of that yet either. I'm not convinced of that.
But the league did exactly what he had to do to save all the money. Now the Clippers might lose all of the money and not get the advertisement. But even that, if I'm an advertiser, I'm looking at it now. Well, you did the right thing. I can't now withhold my money. You took Donald Sterling out of the building. I'm bringing my advertising back. It'll be back the next game they play.
There's probably 20 on a list trying to get in there right now.
All right.
Waiting. Just let me get my name near the Clippers' name now.
But he's still there. He's still there.
That's what I mean. He's
you know what it is?
there.
It's that old dirty uncle that nobody talks about that's still in the room. He's sitting in the corner of the room. He's still there. Or he's outside the room. He's slightly outside the room. It's cold. It's Thanksgiving.
He's eating outside.
All right. Their next game, they have a certain amount of gate. They have a certain amount of advertisement. They're going to make a profit the next game. Where does that profit go? He's banned from the league, but
goes to the team.
Goes to the team, which is owned by him.
Owned by him. Goes to him.
Correct.
So what exactly is he banned from doing? Going to the game?
He's banned. That's what I want to know.
He's banned.
That's what I want to know. And you know what? He'll probably show up now at the Kings game.
Right.
No, can't do it. Banned.
Yeah, banned.
He can.
Go to an NHL game. No, NHL game.
Sure he can. But do you think there's a ticket guy and he walks up and he goes, "Wait a minute, this picture of you? No, go away.
Wait
you can't
a minute.
come in here.
You've got hate in your heart." Can he show up if he brings a black person with him? Because apparently that was his big sticking point. You can't bring a black person in the game.
Look what I got.
Apparently he was shocked to know that Magic Johnson was at a basketball game in L.A. That was new to him.
I just don't know what has changed here.
Other
than you're right, Greg.
Yeah.
They're about to build a statue for Adam Silver.
Okay, but,
and I'm not saying that he doesn't deserve one right now because he pulled off something I didn't think he was capable of pulling off. But now we get the next chapter to the story. And what happens next?
You will need a lot more copper for those ears on that statue.
Right.
But I don't know why there isn't as much outrage that Shelley is now, running the show. Why? Where is the outrage?
Because here's why.
I don't get it.
Because she's the old wife who has been replaced by the trophy girlfriend.
Yeah.
And so people kind of feel bad for her. Apparently they haven't. Wait a minute, Pete. Apparently they haven't read the history here,
saying.
Where she is heavily
It's the same
involved
thing all over again.
in the racial discrimination suits.
No, America. This is Frau Eva Braun. She's going to be controlling everything now. She's good. No, she's good. Don't worry about her. Hitler's gone. We have Eva Braun now.
That's pretty much
kidding me?
That's it. But I just
go away. Leave now.
Why are all these other people? Why isn't anybody outraged about this?
Because
it's the same. It's almost the same thing.
That's coming next. The American people need about 24 hours.
That's what I'm talking about. I don't think the sponsors are safe yet. It may look that way now, but once this. Why do people have blinders on for this chick running the show?
But Pete, what's the solution? Somebody's got to run that franchise, and he's not going to allow somebody else to come in or the league to run it. Unless the commissioner has powers where he can take over the franchise and run it. But based on what I'm reading here, they can put the lifetime ban on him, but they can't force him to sell his team under what they've put together for their own
this
constitution.
Is what I'm saying. I know now the sponsors seem safe, but eventually they're going to bring up the same question. I don't know why they haven't already. Okay, why is this woman any better than him? For what the history is already there.
She already
so why am I
defended him.
paying money for the same situation? What am I doing?
She already defended him on TMZ.
Because,
He's not a racist.
because here's why, Pete. She showed up last night. Did you notice how she showed up
So
last
what?
night? She sat in the front row last night, okay? And she had 2 security guys, and they were both black. So she showed up. She showed up with black security people, and so they said, "Well, she's okay because she's willing to come to the game with black people." See, she's harmless to them.
Oh, yeah.
She's not him.
But
she's not him.
But you said
she didn't make the $2 billion. She's not him. To the public, she's harmless, and that's what Doc Rivers is looking at. She's the poor older wife who's been replaced by the
But there's a
50-year
history.
young.
There's a history there. So why is Doc Rivers and everybody else
Because
ignoring
here's what
it?
they're going to say. Here's what they're going to say.
There's nothing they can say to justify it. I don't get. Am I
Poor
missing
Shelley.
something?
Poor Shelley was forced
Screw
to go in there
Shelley.
and become part of that discrimination suit because Donald went to the costume shop, found an old health inspector uniform, and forced her to put it on and go door to door to go in and see if they were Korean, they were black, or they were white.
And
That was
people
it.
are going to buy that.
That wasn't her. That
Who's
was
buying
him.
that? Who's buying that?
And to her credit, she's so open-minded and racially tolerant that she'll hire 2 black guys to take a bullet for her.
Yes.
Well, if anyone's going to get killed, it'll be you 2 guys, because I celebrate you.
Here's the best one.
I'm just in a lot. I don't know why people don't get this. Nothing is different. Nothing is changed. It's the same people running the team.
Why are you yelling
with the same
at me?
ideology.
Why are you yelling at me?
AFA is different. She's very different. She's open-minded. You like her. You like
So,
her.
and not to get us on a tangent, but this occurred to me today is, what objectively is the difference between Donald Sterling and Tom Yawkey?
Nothing.
Oh, yeah, we've covered that.
Zero.
Yeah.
Did you discuss this
Zero.
yesterday?
The only
But-
difference is Sterling doesn't have a street yet.
Yeah,
Yeah,
and
not
they didn't have a tape recorder recording Tom Yawkey talking about like the coloreds or whatever.
they did it on Morse code.
Yeah, when
Beep,
he was
beep, beep, beep. Here's what he's saying.
When he's,
And it's
you know,
still
when he
Morse
was
code initial still on him.
when he was posing
wall.
pictures
Yeah.
with these basically Klansmen like Ty Cobb and stuff, all holding their shotguns like the gang from Porky's, you know what I mean? And you know what? And
Great
right,
movie.
he's in the friggin'
Here's
baseball Hall of Fame. He's got a street named after him. There's a plaque. Only Donald Sterling, at least to his credit, employs blacks. He built a team around them. He hired Doc Rivers to run his team. Like, Tom Yawkey cost us God only knows how many World Series because he refused to employ them like 12 years after Jackie Robinson.
You asked for the difference. The difference is 50 years.
Yeah.
That's the only difference. 40 years. Because if this were today, do you think people would accept Yawkey? Even if they were winning games, nobody would accept him here. That was the difference. That you look the other way. The people looked the other way in those days.
He wasn't.
It was despicable then. It
he
was
wasn't.
despicable
But he
then.
wasn't the only one. I mean,
Right.
the Phillies owner, I forget his name, in '42. I'm sure that was very factual.
Oh, yeah.
I'm sure they all were like that. Everyone who passed on Jackie Robinson, you can put in that category.
Sure, but I never.
Yeah, but we knew about this. We knew about this
sure.
up close and
Yeah, yeah.
personal.
Right, and
I mean,
some
this
of these
was
other guys, you didn't get this hagiography of them like we do about Yawkey. My whole life, I grew up, reading and hearing from all the media guys about the great old gentleman of the game, one of the last of the gentleman owners, and look at all he did for this city. And I'll never forget standing there at about shortstop, looking out at center field where Clarence Clemens was doing the sax solo from Badlands, and I'm going, why did we like the Yankees again? This would never have happened if that old coot didn't do the right thing and finally croak.
Do you remember, because you've been a little unfair now. Now, maybe he didn't treat blacks real well, but he treated birds real well. He had that sanctuary that he
that's
had.
right.
Crows.
There was about
Hated crows. Crows and ravens.
You
Hated
sure?
them.
You
Hated
sure?
them. Yes.
Coincidence.
Because I'll bet you there was some sort of black birds somewhere in the sanctuary.
Snow
down there.
owls.
Yeah, he
Snow
loved
owls was
doves.
it.
He loved doves.
But
Loves
but
doves.
And he didn't want them taking pictures
Swans.
of them together.
But we did this one time on the show because somebody sent me a video of the sanctuary, and they did this whole thing on it, and they were raising money. And I want to tell you, they were raising like hundreds of millions of dollars, basically to protect the birds in South Carolina. And I'm sitting there going, you got to be kidding me. And this is where this guy spent all of his money. And it caused, Pete may remember this, it caused a little bit of stir because we got a little bit of heat. Because I think the Red Sox, and this was previous to this ownership, the Red Sox at that time, they didn't go out of their way to really bring up Tom Yawkey because they kind of feared that they were going to get that backlash.
Sure.
But on the other hand, they didn't want it advertised out there that the man might have been a racist.
Yeah.
And they didn't want that advertised. So we were playing the tapes of the bird. And you had some guy with like a PBS voice. Yeah. And he was telling you about that over here. We have the cockatoo. Mr. Yaki and the Yaki Wildlife Center is protecting the cockatoo so that the cockatoo may live here 60 years from now. You know, of course, you couldn't put a black guy in your
sexually aroused right now.
Right.
Yeah. Notwithstanding that in like 1989, the only black guy in the whole roster was Ellis Burks. Like, but we needed this tape to draw a circle around it.
Some will remember it, but a lot of some of the young kids may not. In 1986, when they got Don Baylor in that trade, I remember Al Michaels bringing it up specifically during the Red Sox California, that historic ALCS, but he was the only significant black player on the team besides Rice, and really the only significant one they had on the team for a long time besides Rice. If you go back and really look at up until that point.
Well, Dave Henderson.
Well, Dave Henderson came in to trade that year too.
Sure, okay,
I know,
yeah,
and with the shortstop.
That's right.
Spike Owen.
My bad.
But yeah,
Vertigo for Spike Owen.
But I mean that was a big deal, and right away Baylor became. Remember, he had the Kangaroo Courthouse.
Yes.
And he was an instant leader in that clubhouse immediately. And thank God he dropped the ball for Clemens because he wouldn't have got his 20 strikeouts
and then
foul territory.
Vladimir Guerrero broke his leg.
Yeah.
Well, you know what? Yaki's an interesting one that you bring up because there are some similarities here. In that, if you notice, Donald Sterling is giving a lot of money to a lot of charities out there. So he's known now as the humanitarian. By the way, I pointed this out to these guys yesterday, and you've probably seen that the stories are being written up about it today, that when he gives the money away, he takes out half-page ads in the L.A. Times, basically thanking Donald Sterling for giving like $3 million to the so-and-so hospital fund or whatever. He actually pays
He
for
takes
the
it
ads.
out himself.
Yes.
So it
So
says-
I mentioned it yesterday because somebody
What a
had wrote
trooper.
that he was the one that was actually taking these ads. And some, bold reporter went out there and went to the charities and said, "Are you taking out these ads?" "Oh, no. That's Mr. Sterling that's taking out the ads."
Donald
And he's got
Sterling
a
would
big
like to
picture-
thank Donald
Yeah, he's got a
Sterling.
big picture of him and this Shelley over there, and we give him $3 million.
He's like Costanza when he put the tip in the cup and the girl didn't see it. So he pulls it out like, hey, you didn't steal that out of the tip, but that's my money. No, it's yours.
I don't get why these people are giving back money he's giving them. Take him for all he's got. Just drain him.
Well,
Drain
some of
him.
them are. Some of them are sitting there saying,
No,
"Screw it.
we'll take that.
Screw
I'll
it."
take that
Some,
money.
I like one charity. I'm trying to remember the charity because I was writing about this morning. But the charity basically said, we're going to keep the money because our budget is already set for the rest of the year. We can't afford to give it up.
Absolutely, they should come out and say, you're damn right we're keeping this
Right,
money because it's for a charity.
Right, why not?
George Bernard Shaw actually wrote a play on this very topic.
Did?
Yes. I mean, I know all the listeners are clicking off as Brent mentioned George Bernard Shaw.
No,
but
I'm just going to read some during the break.
Sure. The beginning of the play, he just says, this is the premise. It was the Salvation Army not wanting to take money from liquor companies.
Right.
And he goes, I'm telling you what the point of this before you even read it. Yes, you should. Every single time, charitable people should take money from evil people.
I would
care.
agree. Yeah.
B'nai B'rith should have taken money from the Nazi Party if offered. Not that it would have been, and don't even
Yeah,
blink
if it
an
would
eye
like
about
that.
it.
If it
There's
would
no
like that.
such thing as dirty money. Just friggin' take it.
Well, he's doing similar things to what Tom Yaki did. So should we praise Tom Yaki because they probably would not have done all of the cancer research? The Jimmy Fund probably would not be what it is today. If you go down to the medical along Brookline Avenue there, you see Tom Yaki Center and this and that. So he's provided in his family and in essence after his departure. I wonder where he is. Do you think he's amongst the birds right now?
Could be.
Hi!
He's in heaven, but he's in the whites only section.
So my guess is that we wouldn't have all this stuff. So it's a wonderful life. We can go back and we can do. Hey, let's do the Jimmy Stewart. It's a wonderful life. If he weren't around, we wouldn't have all this stuff. Now, can you say the same thing right now for Donald Sterling? He's provided money for all this. So getting back to the point you just brought up, for charities, you take the money. Screw it. Right? Nothing wrong with taking the money.
Sure.
Right? So does he get credit for that? Even though the guy might be an asshole and he probably is a racist.
I'm limited in how much credit I want to give a guy who's worth $1.9 billion, who's given away money for good PR. Which my guess is that's his main reason. Otherwise, he wouldn't be taking out the full page.
He takes his own PR.
Having said that, I mean, money to good causes is a good thing by its inherent nature. But there's plenty of guys out there worth his money who are probably doing 1,000 times more and aren't brag in a deposition about
there-
a
and there are.
$500 hooker
And there
that
are,
had her
right.
lips on his junk the entire night.
Right,
or
and there
whatever.
are. And
Yeah.
there are. How do you do that when you're wearing a miner's mask? Does anybody?
Boba Fett mask.
Yeah, like a
Anybody-
hole in it, I guess. I
It's
don't
Kind
know.
of like a
figured that
face snuggie.
I
Put a
wish
hole
I
in
could-
there.
There
I
should
wish
be
I
an
could
extra in the new
find
Star
the-
Wars movie. Maybe
Could
J.J.
be.
Abrams will hire her.
I wish I could find the exact tweet, but someone sent one out, and it was a screen cap of the actual printed deposition that he gave in 2003, and it was something like he just went on and on about this. Like she was such a she was so hot, she was such a slut, she went down on me the whole night, blah blah blah. And he goes on for a paragraph, and the lawyer says, Mr. Sterling, the question was, did you own the Clippers in 2003?
I saw that.
What? I'm just talking here.
He was off in some. He
what
was
a-
watching some of the video. Here's another one. At
just
5:45 today, we'll do the wine line at 617-600-7183. I must tell you, the one thing that I have absolutely loved about this show so far is the wines have been phenomenal. And we've had a lot of our old Wine and Line callers who have called us. We've got some new Wine and Line callers who have provided some phenomenal material. So, and we want to kind of recycle some of them during the course of the show every day, just so that if you missed them, you have the opportunity to hear them again. But we want your wine, your best wine. Remember how you do it, 617-600-7183, or you can send an MP3. You can send whatever you want. And a lot of people do this. They have like little studios and putting stuff together. And you can do that jet at sportstalkboston.com. That's JET at sportstalkboston.com. Here was one from yesterday.
When Don Sterling met the ghost of Thomas Yockey, that ghost, he ripped Don's girlfriend V. He said, shit, screw you, that I figured, 'cause she is one half colored person. Now you're on TMC. Now Don Sterling said, well, Mr. Yockey, they're giving me the third degree. I sit here with my limp dick. Wish I had a Jedi mind trick to get this angry mob off of me, Lord, Lord. This angry mob off of me.
Good stuff. Again, 617-600-7183. That was Accordion Man for your best material. And again, JET at sportstalkboston.com. Quick break. We're right back with the group.
And now,
It's the Big Show Unfiltered.
with your host, Glenn Ordway.
The Big O.
Today on The Big Show Unfiltered.
This is Richard Nixon from the grave. I've learned a very valuable lesson. Always ask, is that thing on?
We're joined by Jerry Thornton, here to impart his sports knowledge and random esoteric postulations.
What is the point of being a rapper if you don't have a penis?
Donald Sterling is still banned for life, which, at his age, and the amount of new enemies he's just made, might not be all that long.
I am banning Mr. Sterling for life from any association with the Clippers organization or the NBA.
Greg Murphy is here laying down the laws of sports fan conduct.
If you're older than the guy that you want to boo, you can't boo. You're a loser.
And Pete Shepard's just laying down the law, period.
Stop playing like pussies and do something.
All that and the Big O on this Donald Sterling Sucks edition of
He has zero redeeming value.
The Big Show
Unfiltered.
Feels good to be out there with the guys with a full practice, and I've skated for over a week now on my own, or even a couple optional skates. But definitely feels good to get a full contact practice going, and I feel fresh.
Daniel Paille, and looks like he's going to play, which is good news. The Seidenberg stuff is kind of interesting. Skating without contact.
Not reading it too much into that.
No, but
Couple series maybe.
I was going to say, if you
Stanley Cup Finals, possibly.
Right. I mean, if you get deep enough into this thing, it certainly gives you now a little bit of feeling that maybe there's a possibility that he could play here.
I think along the lines of break in emergency.
Here's the problem you have with it. I don't think you can put him out there until you're convinced you can get a good 18, 19 minutes out of him.
I'm talking a couple series from now. Break in case of emergency.
You can't put him on the roster the way that the younger players are playing right now. Bartkowski's and the way they're playing right now and the way they're moving the puck for you, which is something, by the way, you need in this Montreal series. That quickness, that speed. How can you take one of them off the roster if you can only play him, let's say, 10 minutes in a game?
You can't. Right now, you'd be hurting the team,
No,
especially against these guys.
You got to let them play them. Let them play themselves out of their job. If someone struggles, now we're talking.
And based on the way they just made Detroit look useless, and Detroit, I think we all agree, is a solid hockey team. Why change anything? You know, I'm thrilled for Payet that he's practicing.
Pelé.
Good.
Yeah, EI people call him Pelé. Some of them.
Didn't you
Not
send me?
some of them want
to. People don't know this, but Greg Murphy is the foremost fun sports texter in the world. Did you not send me one a while back that was like yippee Payet motherfucker?
Yes, I was. And that's
been
on.
Popped into my head. I said,
that's been on. Somebody took that too.
That was a diehard.
It's a diehard. I did that when he first signed. Yes.
Okay, beautiful. See,
a lot of stuff gets stolen.
Because I thought of it, and I thought that might be my own original idea, and I said that had to have been Murph, and I'm 1,000%
Poor
right.
Payet, he's probably heard that since he was a kid. You know?
Oh, yeah.
Everybody
it was an
probably
obvious
said that
one.
to him.
Yeah,
everybody probably said that.
But it's good
to
that
him.
he's back. I'm glad to be back on with Campbell and Thornton. As much as Corone, came into his own a little bit. Had a decent series against Detroit.
Well, here's why this one. I mean, this is a no-brainer. How great this series has the potential to be, because one, there's a tremendous history. The old history is not good for the Bruins. Montreal dominated. The recent history has been very good for the Bruins.
Yeah, since
against
1988,
the
they're
Canadiens.
7-4 against.
They're a team that it's very easy for us to hate, and I would think that for Montreal fans, probably easy to hate the Bruins as well. And we know what the Canadians are all about. They flop and they're good at it. It's an art. A lot of people can't do that.
And the Bruins
flop
flop,
and the Bruins
flop too.
Marchand's been a major flop.
Boychuk flops.
The Bruins can be extremely physical, and guys like Lucic can use the stick to pluck away a guy's nuts. There are things that the Bruins are noted for, more so than the Canadians. Though Subban has got an image of his own. But I look at Montreal. And look at the series, and let's forget about all the past and all of the other.
And forget Tampa Bay this last 4.
Yeah,
too.
you can't tell.
Without
Bishop it was a different series.
The goaltending was, and even though they could have lost 2 of those games, I cannot pull out a stock in that series.
I would throw that series out, a 4-game series anyway, and that you didn't have Bishop, and you put so much pressure on Stamkos in that series, and he had some physical ailments as well. But if you forget the past, forget the fact that they hate each other. And just look at this.
And their fancy uniforms, and remember what got you here.
Hobbs.
Rouge, blanc.
Are you a Hob? What is a Hob?
You know that old thing, the H stands for Hab?
Yeah.
La Habitant. It stands for hockey.
Right.
Historically, everyone goes, the H stands for La Habitant. No, it stands for hockey. When they invented the symbol, it was Canadians hockey. Sorry, I had to tell you.
Is it more insufferable than the Rouge et
Rouge
Blanc. Well, I don't even know what.
I find it amazing that years and years from now, when free agency and they don't have access to only the French players, that there's still that many French-sounding team name dickhead names on this team.
Right.
Bouillon, Descharnais, René Bourque, Subban.
By the way, I recommend the bouillon with the Descharnais.
Yes. Good.
I was down in Costa Rica. I had one contact with the outside world, and it was a sports bar that when it wasn't showing soccer, we were able to get hockey. I saw the Bruins overtime goal.
I was going to say, hold on.
But
it Costa Rican sports bar.
Yeah.
Do they have cockfighting in the back room?
No, this was a...
Little Jerry!
This was on the resort, so they're...
Little Jerry!
Little Yelly Seinfeld. Little Yelly Seinfeld does more than your name than Big Yelly Seinfeld.
The place was lousy with French Canadians watching the Canadians games. Yeah. In fact,
in Costa Rica?
Yes. It was
it's like a travel destination for the Canadians.
Tons of Americans and Canadians, and I'm down there, and like the Bruins were on earlier, and me and my friend are trying to see them, and like the Canadians, it was like that game where they scored with like a minute to go or whatever, and all the habitants are going out of their minds, and so we waited afterwards to go. Well, after the game, they're going to show the Bruins. They'll get to it. 45 minutes later, I'm still watching the same goddamn replay of the same goddamn Lightning Canadian series. I still never saw the Bruins beyond that 8-minute overtime. So it was good because it got me getting my hatred up for these clowns yet
well,
again.
Just taking away all that history, and I didn't even bring up Chara and Pacioretty and all that other stuff. So there's so many other little sidebars that we could throw out there. But just looking at it, as a series with Team A versus Team B. You've got teams that have much different styles,
Yes,
the
that's
two
the
of
best
them.
thing about it.
Bruins obviously far more physical than the Canadiens. Not to say that the Bruins can't skate, because they do skate a lot better than what the stereotype is out there.
They're a lot quicker. People always want to label Detroit and Montreal as quick. The Bruins are plenty quick.
They're plenty quick.
Plenty quick.
They're plenty quick, but they're not as quick as Montreal. They're bigger than Montreal.
They're bigger and they're more skilled. They may not overall be as quick, if you want to define quick, but what they lack in quickness, they have. I think they are more. I think they're a smarter team, and that's what they have to employ here. They have to be smarter. They can't be stupid in this series, and I just think they have better players.
And there's one better player.
Well, they're a better team. I mean, they finished with 16 more points, I think, in the conference.
But Montreal does play. Montreal does play 4 lines. You'll see 4 lines in the series.
And when you can go with a Brian Jonta on your third line, on your third line, I think Thomas Vanek makes a dramatic difference in the Canadiens. He's a guy that, when he was up in Buffalo, played very, very well against the Bruins.
I have a difference maker too from Montreal.
Who's that?
Alexei Emelin.
I agree.
He will knock. He's going to knock somebody out of this.
He's the one physical guy.
He's going to knock somebody out of the series,
Right.
whether it be dirty or not, across the middle with a big hit. He's going to take care
Oh,
of somebody.
Bork, you mentioned Bork, and Bork can be physical as well.
Yeah.
And they got physical guys on there. It's not like they have, little wusses on there, but I agree. Alexei Emelin is a guy.
He's a popper.
Who will hit you. And and that's the one thing they did. If you look at the Canadiens, what they've tried to do is they've tried to get a little bit more physical, especially in the back end. But they're not great defensively. This is not a real good team. Now, I will say this. Howard played pretty well in that series, this last series. So he was okay. I'm not going to blame him.
I'll go okay, better than pretty well.
But would you agree that Carey Price is a better goaltender?
Which
by the way, Budai played really well. He's played a lot against the Bruins this year, and he played well against them.
Budai is more consistent. No, it's not as good. When Price is good, he's a way higher level than Budai. But when are you going to get that consistently?
They played 5 games. I believe Budai played in 3 of those 5.
I think 4 of them.
And
did he play in 4 of them?
And he has Dale Arnold on his helmet.
Yeah, but Budai is not going to see.
You'd have to look up the helmet to know what I'm talking about.
I know exactly what you're talking about. Wow.
Unless Price really.
Yes.
Unless Price and Marc-Andre Fleury's himself, I don't think Budai sees a sniff of the series. But that's possible. It can happen.
He's not as bad as Fleury in their lapses, but he has had him.
He can be rattled.
Yep.
He absolutely.
But
can
the
be
reason
rattled.
you don't get concerned is because you look at the Bruins goaltender, and there's nobody better. And though he wasn't tested early in the series, this last series, he was tested as the series went on. And every time he had to make a big save, he made that big save.
Yep.
I just don't think you worry about the Bruins goaltending. No. I agree. I think this is an upgrade with Price, and if he struggles, Budai is another guy. It's not like you're taking the backup goaltender and say, okay, they're screwed now because Price is, is psychologically damaged. Budai could be very, very good against the Bruins. I just think you don't worry about it because your goaltender's better.
They just have to avoid, and everybody's writing about it, and they're right. They have to avoid getting caught up in the bullshit and the hype.
Well, you don't want to put this first line on the power play.
No,
you don't want to put that first line on the power play.
No, you don't.
And we all know it's the old. Did Harry Sinden used to say this, that watch in Montreal, they get the first power play every single game.
Glenn
he did say that.
Glenn doesn't buy into it.
I'm not sure I buy into
Not
that.
recently they have.
Harry used to say that. Plus, he used to say, "I hate those Russian players."
What did they ever do? But watch it, because again, they're a team that tries to draw fouls. They draw fouls. Doesn't mean draw penalties, but it's LeBron James and their ability to draw penalties.
No, they're good. They like to get a situation where they get the extra man out there on the ice, and when they do that, they are extremely dangerous. Though you're talking about one of the best penalty-killing teams in the league, in the Bruins. By the way, Montreal's very good at that as well. So that's a factor where you didn't have it with Detroit, okay, where the Bruins suddenly dominated. They've been so good in the power play this year where they haven't been the last few years. Detroit's penalty killing was not real good. Would you agree?
Yeah.
Not real good.
No.
Montreal's hit.
And where you seem to dismiss home ice a lot, and I just think both of these arenas are electric. And I'm
not dismissing home ice in this series.
Okay, good, because I could see.
I think in this series
I could see every home game.
I can tell you.
I could see every home team.
I can tell you that the crowd, the emotion, the language, and I don't understand a lot of French. Matter of fact, I don't understand any. You could swear at me right now in French, and I would.
Why would I learn French?
I would think you're hitting on me.
Most useless language in
I
the
can
world.
say the Hail Mary in French.
But you're right. It gets nasty, and I think that infiltrates down on the ice. And then what happens is the Bruins crowds are much different from Montreal games.
But at the same energy level.
Yes, that's what I mean.
Just different, yeah.
Yes,
right.
But again, it comes down to the home. What's the big thing about home ice? It is making that the home ice coach gets to make the last change. That's big now. It's much bigger than people, especially in series like this. It's big against Detroit. It's that chess. It's that game within the game. I
think it's important when you can match Chara up with that first line. I think that part of it is important.
But I could see this going 7 and all home teams winning. I could see it.
I got the Bruins in 8.
Okay.
All right.
Well, that means they're going to play 3 overtimes at some point.
Exactly.
To the home ice advantage, there will be one play early on in that first game in Montreal where somebody on the Canadians, whether it's going to be a legit hit or just kind of a marginal one, they're going to do the friggin' Ben Gazzara death scene from Roadhouse, and the crowd is going to go wild. Like, they have that whole upper level of, like, register, like, in high-pitched French. You know, they sound like a the doors open in the kitchen and the chef is screaming at a waiter, and they will keep that level for the whole rest of the period. And the Bruins haven't played well up there in the regular season anyway, right? The last
2-1-1 this year.
Mostly Tuukka.
But they
Tuukka
also
struggles
remember
out there.
when they won the cup, they were down 0-2. They went to Montreal and won 2. Won the next 2 there, and it won in convincing fashion.
It took us 3-10-3 overall against Montreal.
Irrelevant.
Now, and I agree with Pete. I think it's irrelevant because I think if you look at how he's been more recently against Montreal, it's a little bit different. And let's face it.
His goals against, and even it was 1.92 against him. Come on, that's damn good.
I would say we're looking at a starting goaltender in Tuukka right now versus the backup guy or the guy that struggled in the playoffs. You brought this up the other day against the Flyers in that series. This is a little bit different. I do believe that Montreal, with their style, there are certain, we say this in all sports, we say this in football all the time, certain teams that just match up better against other teams because they do something that is so contrary to what the other team does that team has difficulty with it. I think this is the case with the Bruins. Pete is right. I think the Bruins, talent-wise, are considerably better than Montreal. If I were to give the Bruins a 10 talent-wise, I'm giving Montreal a 7, a 6.8, something like that. But when you talk about the style and the matchups and whatever, Montreal does some stuff that causes the Bruins problem. The Bruins and their physical play and how they play in that neutral zone and not letting these guys fly out of the zone, that to me is where if you're not controlling that stuff, and they controlled it very well in the Detroit series. But you don't do that against this team. Don't you get yourself into trouble?
You know what the irony of this matchup is too is right now Montreal is possible their best player is Max Pacioretty, who's from Connecticut, and our best player is Patrice Bergeron from Laval, Quebec. That's just ironic to me. It's just it's one of those
it's kooky
sports cuckoo.
Yeah. Well, you remember years ago Montreal got the first French-speaking player in the draft every year, and that's why they won.
Yeah.
That was like cheating.
Oh, yeah. It is the most fraudulent dynasty in all of sports.
No question.
Because it would be like giving Red Auerbach first crack at all black American players. Like, he would have had Russell and Chamberlain and, like, Oscar Robertson. Instead, Red had to do it through being smarter than everybody else. The Canadiens just were able to just, go in and shop before the doorbuster sale.
Since you mentioned that, can I bring this up and then we'll get back talking about the Bruins again? Sure. Because there are people that are talking about Donald Sterling, and these people that don't know what they're talking about, they're making jokes. And they're joking about the fact that they're trying to make jokes. Comedians are trying to do this now. Make jokes about the fact that Donald Sterling would never have a black guy working for him or whatever. They're missing the point. That's not the joke. He had black guys working all the time. He just didn't value them. As he said, over in Israel, there's a certain way they treat dogs and a certain way they treat blacks. And so that's what he's getting at. Because when you think about it, he had Elgin Baylor on the payroll for 22 years. 22 years, the worst general manager in the history of the NBA.
Sure.
Totally incompetent, and he kept him on the payroll. Why? Maybe because he just felt that, I could look good because I've got a black sitting in the office down the hallway or whatever. But it goes back to what you were just saying with Red Auerbach. I digress because we were talking about PK Subban, who is noticeable on the ice. Here we go. We're talking about.
What do you mean?
Well, you know exactly what I mean. But he's a great player. I tell you what, he's the Subban is the type of player that when he's on your team, man, you absolutely love all the little things he does. And when he's playing for the other team, you absolutely despise him. Yeah. But, man, he is – and just watching him in this last series, in the Tampa Bay series, Pete and I were talking about this.
He had the best assist. It should have been a goal.
That was unbelievable.
The double spin move.
Unbelievable.
It was game 2, I think. It was just that's the move of the
But
move
he can score for you. He can defend. He is chippy. He plays that game in which it's dirty, but you know what? It's hard for them to see.
Right.
He's sneaky in the way he does it.
They cannot retaliate.
He's their Marchand.
Yeah.
No, a guy who can
he's
play.
Big, though. He's big.
Right, he's big.
He's their Marchand with a Boychuk slap shot.
Yeah.
He's got a bomb.
Yeah, he does.
Best offensive defenseman in the league.
Now, in the effort of being politically correct, is he technically an African Canadian? Or
I would think so. Yeah.
Is that a term that they use?
African North American.
That's what we do?
Yeah, you just don't have to be all that specific.
Just want to make sure.
You got a whole country.
Here's what I know. He's a hell of a hockey player,
he is.
and yet we're gonna in the next couple of weeks, people are gonna say all sorts of stuff about him. Yeah. And that won't even be Donald Sterling. There will be people that will be saying stuff about him on a regular basis.
I feel bad for his brother, who eventually I hope
He's
plays.
a Bruins.
Yeah, it's like having Shell.
You give 5 goals the other night, I think.
Whatever.
Yeah,
but it's like having Shell Samuelson on the Bruins next to Neely. Like it's that level of just like we hate your brother.
You don't think there's respect on that Bruins team though for Subban? You think they think the way fans do? Because fans hate Subban because of the way he plays. I gotta believe if you're a Bruins player, you're sitting there saying, "Man, you got to have respect for the way the guy plays."
Well, I do know this. Boychuk, tackled him last time they played. And another irritator in the league who's almost at the level of Subban would be, what's his name from Philly with the long hair? His name escapes me.
Hartnell.
Hartnell.
Yeah,
Scott Hartnell.
Scott.
And on Behind the B, somebody said to Boychuk, "What do you think of that guy? Is he a piece of shit or whatever?" And he goes, "I got to tell you, I love the way he plays." So part of me thinks that Boychuk just hates Subban, but part of me thinks that he respects that level, that type of agitator.
And the other guy fans should worry about that maybe you haven't heard of, though you probably, if you follow the game, you do, is Gallagher.
Yes.
He leads the NHL
Quick.
in goaltending interference.
He's quick too.
Well, that whole second line post is healthy now.
Yep.
Mechanic, the center, who's very, very good.
Forgot how much I hate him.
Right, but he's good.
And Vanek. We haven't brought up Vanek yet.
I do have Vanek.
I'm sorry.
I brought up Vanek. Vanek scares me right now because he's played great against the Bruins.
Yeah.
He always played well
Except
against
for the last couple games this year, he didn't.
He only played one, I believe.
One.
Well, no, you got him early after the trade, though,
after
right?
the trade. But he's averaged basically over a point a game against the Bruins in his career.
And they've got the two best pure goal scorers in this series, in Vanek and Pacioretty. Right. So that's a concern. They've got the best offensive defenseman, Subban. Maybe the best.
Won the Norris
maybe the
last
best
year.
in the league.
Won the Norris. He's still
the
Norris.
All right. So let me ask this question: would you rather be pissed off at the Canadians because they go out there and they flop a little bit, and because they're trying to draw that penalty and get on the power play? Or would you rather the Bruins, now that the Bruins have a better power play than the Montreal Canadiens, right? It is a better power play.
Imagine that, huh?
Right, they do. So if they have when you look at the league ranking, it's not even close. I think Montreal numbers are a little bit deceiving because they didn't have Vanek and, they didn't have the two different lines they can run out there. And they've had health problems on that second line. But would you rather bitch about the Canadiens flopping, or would you say to yourself, maybe the Bruins need to do some of this a little bit to get themselves in a power play situation because this is not a real good defensive core. It's been a pretty good penalty kill team, but why not? Your power play right now, your special teams are really an important part of the Bruins.
Glenn, I just think it's a point of pride with the team. I think it's from it starts with Neely and all the way down. I think, with the exception of Marchand, who's a great rat. He's a terrific instigator.
And he's a flopper.
Yeah, I think beyond that, I think they just take it as a point of pride that's the way the Canadians play. It's not the way we play.
They just cannot become undisciplined, especially early on in the first 10 minutes. I'm telling you, because Montreal over the years, I mean, I hate to go into, but this is one thing, even the recent teams have been able to draw the Bruins into silly, stupid penalties, but and on home ice, a lot of it.
Well, I got to think
I hope that doesn't, they've got to, I'm sure that Claude has drilled it into their heads, just stay within yourselves and don't do anything stupid. They cannot afford to retaliate, especially at home. in these two games.
I hope the whistles, are kind of put away a little bit so they can play. It's undisciplined, but the way they played against Vancouver in the finals, they were allowed to, punch somebody in the face twice. Three times, yeah. And just the after the whistle stuff, let go a little bit. And as far as diving, I hope the Canadians do it, because what better than hearing Don Cherry go off on them, and what better than Mike Milbury going off on them? It's what the series is they'll dive, we get to bitch about it, and it's 7 games, or hopefully, whatever, 6, 7, 8 games of just awesome.
Right. Do you remember, Pete, the last game, I believe it was the last game against the Canadians this year, the Canadians came out and did exactly what Pete said. In the first 10 minutes, I was shocked. Instead of using their speed, they came out and played the physical game with the Bruins. And what they did is they almost tried to lure the Bruins into playing that type of game so that eventually they could get the extra skater and they could get back to their skating game. Yeah. It backfired on them.
Yeah, it did backfire. They lost, what did they lose, 4-1? Yeah, something like that. Yeah. I mean, the Bruins dominated the game.
The refs make a lot of difference. Rooney's a quick whistleblower.
Rooney?
Rooney! And then you got Kozari, who looks like Francona on skates. You see that guy? did you see him? Kozari, he took a black eye against the last game in the Red Wings, and he's skating over, and all I can just picture is, geez, I just got that in the eye, and it's not going to be good.
By the way, real quick, and don't get mad at me for bringing this up, because if I don't mention it to you right now, I'm going to miss it. What did you think of Joey Crawford last night when he called that timeout? When he called,
Joey was being Joey.
Well, I know
Joey
that,
was
being, if that was the Celtics, we'd be livid.
Stop! I love it when Joey goes, stop!
Wait, what did he do?
Stop. And he gives the face. Durant was doing two free throws.
Okay.
And he's ready to shoot the second one. I mean, he's in the motion of doing it, and Joey gets in front of him.
Joey, the ball
jumps in front of him. Stop!
And then he does like the Barney Rubble, up to him, grabs the ball,
over the scoring table,
and sprints to the table. It basically starts yelling at the scoreboard operator because the bonus, the little red dot, isn't in the thing. Meanwhile, 32 seconds go by.
That was the problem. The scoreboard didn't have the little
bonus dot.
So Durant goes on to miss the free throw.
92% free throw shooter. Yeah.
In Oklahoma City. Memphis beat them last night. Memphis is in control of that series. I thought that would be a 7-game series right from the get-go.
But
Memphis is a very difficult team. They're a very difficult team to play. But you know what? Typical Tony Allen, by the way. He's been important in the series for the defense, but he had a 2-on-1 break. Tony Allen gets the defender to commit to his side, which means you deal the ball off on a 2-on-1 break. He tries to take it to the hole. And, of course, he got the basket is 10 feet up. He got up 8.5.
That's what his nickname is, Trick or Treat Tony.
It was all about the dot.
Joey Crawford, who is considered one of the best referees, but he's also the guy that wants to be bigger than he wants to be part of
Ed
the
Hercules.
game. What an a-hole.
Oh, yeah.
If that was
Joe West.
If that was a Celtics last night, people around here would be out of their minds.
I think we have Joey Crawford. Let's hear Joey Crawford from last night.
With a chance to tie. Joe Crawford, highly agitated. Coming up, seizing the ball, running over and scolding the scores table. He wanted to adjust something on the scoreboard.
He just reads him. He's going, listen to me.
What about the dot?
I love Joey.
Joey's
Brad Pitt at the end of 7. What's in the box? What about the dot?
Where's Adam Silver? I don't the press conference for that, because that is just it's typical Crawford. What he does.
Who's who's the official who just ruined sports? Did it start with
Ben Dreith?
Who's the guy who wrote the book and did the dance? Not Lucchino. The baseball.
Ron Luciano.
Right, yeah, yes, Ron Luciano. Was he really the start of this, or does it go back to like?
No, I think you're right. No, I think you hit it. I think you hit it. He became the star, and he became bigger than life. And yeah,
although Frank Drebin and Naked Gun pretty much stole the show as an umpire.
He totally was imitating.
That was a movie. Okay.
But he was totally imitating Ron Luciano.
That's Enrico Palazzo.
Ron Luciano's. I think it was like 76 or 77. It was one of those rare NBC or Game of the Weeks that we used to be on back in the day. Yeah. He threw Earl Weaver out during the scorecard exchange. At the beginning of the game, when they were at the reading it there, he threw him out of the game before I've never seen. Still to this day, I've never seen that. Ejected him at the exchanging scorecards.
And he's one of the reasons, one of the all-time great moments in sports, just from a fan perspective, was when the Major League Baseball umps decided to go on strike, and the league said, fine, off you go. Don't let the door hit you in the ass on the way out. I'm like, what? You can't have a league without us. And they said, we'll replace you in 2 minutes. And about a third of them caved like right away. And as much as you hate people that cross picket lines, those guys needed to be smacked in the head and told nobody cares about you. And that Crawford thing is a prime example.
Right. Well, Joey loves, being Joey. That's he actually is a really good guy. I will say this, that we know what we're broadcasting, and we're broadcasting in the Boston market. And right now, nobody gives a rat's ass about the NBA playoffs. No. I've said this many times, and I've said it for years, so I'm not bringing up something new here. There's nothing better than the Stanley Cup playoffs, the NHL playoffs, and the difference of the regular season games to the postseason games are dramatic. Sure. And yet, I'll tell you this, there have been some dud playoff games, NHL playoff games here over the last 4 or 5 nights, and the NBA playoffs have been phenomenal. And we're seeing something that we just don't see in the NBA. Overtime. And that's where you see a lot of overtime games.
Yep.
In each one of the games. You're
4
seeing
straight.
Eights knocking off ones. This is what the NHL brings every year. And for some reason, the NBA is doing it. I wonder what's happening.
The entire Rangers Flyer series has been dull.
Yeah, it really has.
Dull.
It really
Even
has.
if someone,
I missed the first 5 minutes last night. You said the Rangers got off to a great start. But by the time I joined it, I believe it was 2-0 or something like that. And from that point on, the game was dead.
Dull.
Yeah.
But one of the players was quoted as saying, "This doesn't even feel like a playoff."
But
series.
you would think a game. Now there's 3 Game 7s tonight, and I think they're all going to be spectacular.
I do too.
Yeah. I think 2 of the 3 go overtime. I hopefully my bracket will work out in the NHL. I need San Jose. I run back. I did pick San Jose.
But
I did say when they were down 3 games to none.
You did. You said to watch out for the Kings.
Yeah.
The Kings are coming back.
I have
and
LA.
winning the series.
I had LA in that series.
Yeah.
Yeah.
You did say that.
Is anyone rooting for Indiana to lose?
Yes.
Yeah, I am.
Yeah.
See, on the one hand, I despise the Heat so much. They were the team that I thought had a chance to knock them out. The sooner the Heat go out, the happier I'll be.
They were the only.
About Larry Bird's health.
Yeah.
The Heat were the only team that didn't have any issue. They had no issue in their first round series. They're the only team in the league really that had zero. Miami. Zero problem.
That went through. And
you know what happened when Al Jefferson went down with that injury? That was the series.
Yeah.
I think Charlotte might have been able to win maybe a game in that series.
I'd say they're the worst 7th seed of all time.
No,
the Bobcats were terrible.
No, they're not the worst of all time.
They're terrible.
Atlanta's been a 7th seed before, I think. That's what's more amazing to me about this, because I've never seen a team before, Jerry, that was a contender at the All-Star break. I've never seen all-star players at the All-Star break in Hibbert and in George. I've never seen guys like that totally fall apart.
Just in basketball?
In basketball, I've never seen it before.
I was going to say, the Red Sox did it a couple years ago.
Yeah, but I've never
in the
seen
NBA,
it.
It doesn't happen, though.
It doesn't happen in the NBA because you're dealing with so few. I've never seen it happen. Let me rephrase that. Never seen it happen with a team that was healthy.
Okay.
They're playing an Atlanta Hawk team that doesn't have a left nut. Okay, never mind a pair of balls. All right? And on top of that, they do not have Horford as well. So they're going in injured, and they got nothing. And Jeff Teague has taken over this series. This is the most embarrassing thing I have ever seen. I will guarantee you in the offseason, Larry Bird is going to take what we thought was the deepest team in the league, thought they were the best defensive team in the league, and he's going to blow it up.
The coach is
going to have to.
And he has to decide. They have to decide what to do with Lance Stevenson, who's an unrestricted free agent.
They do.
And apparently he got into a fist fight with Evan Turner the other day at practice.
Who knows? And, maybe that had something to do with what I've heard. They made the trades early on. Let Granger go, and they brought Turner in. And people say maybe that had something to do with it. Come on. That's your team. By the All-Star break, you were one of the favorites to win the NBA championship. Your chemistry, your personality, it's already set in stone. One guy coming in, 2 guys coming in aren't going to change the thing around.
The power of Andrew Bynum.
He can't change it around. Bynum can't change it around. He's not enough to change the thing around.
And their whole focus this year was getting home court against Miami, and they might not get a chance to even face
I don't think that had anything to do with it, be honest with you, to get home court or whatever. I think they just imploded. I think you're going to find, when the series is over, you're going to see stories all over the place. And I agree with you. Let's get it over in 6. Let's let Atlanta win it in 6. All right, let's take a break, and then we'll come back to our final hour. We'll do the wine line coming up at 5:45, 617-600.
And now,
It's the Big Show Unfiltered.
with your host, Glenn Ordway.
The Big O.
Today on the Big Show Unfiltered.
This is Richard Nixon from the grave. I've learned a very valuable lesson. Always ask, is that thing on?
We're joined by Jerry Thornton, here to impart his sports knowledge and random esoteric postulations.
What is the point of being a rapper if you don't have a penis?
Donald Sterling is still banned for life, which, at his age, and the amount of new enemies he's just made, might not be all that long.
I am banning Mr. Sterling for life from any association with the Clippers organization or the NBA.
Greg Murphy is here laying down the laws of sports fan conduct.
If you're older than the guy that you want to boo, you can't boo. You're a loser.
And Pete Shepard's just laying down the law, period.
Stop playing like pussies and do something.
All that and the Big O on this Donald Sterling Sucks edition of...
He has zero redeeming value.
The Big Show
Unfiltered.
All right, back here with the Big Show Unfiltered. It's our third hour. We spent a lot of time early on in the program talking about Donald Sterling and what's going on there. And this could be a prolonged problem for the NBA. But at least they get him out of their hair, at least for now, and calm things down. We've talked an awful lot, of course, about the Bruins and the Montreal Canadiens, who will finally play a game one tomorrow night at the Garden. It's nice that they worked that out in between the Northeastern graduation on Friday. It would have been
Well,
too
there's still.
much.
Let me tell you, there's still. I saw Dupes. Dupes had tweeted out a little while ago about.
Dupes.
Right now, the game is scheduled tentatively for 12:30, but he didn't sound.
You're talking Saturday's game.
Saturday.
I said Thursday's
I know,
game.
but I'm talking about Saturday's game because that's what people are worried about now. Is Saturday's game. Right now, it's still 12:30, but it could change. It could change.
Why can't we flex schedule the Northeastern graduation like the
remember,
NFL does?
Yeah, exactly. Flex.
Put it on prime
remember,
time.
The Derby is on. That's a big draw, starting at 4:00 for NBC. It ends usually around 6:30, whatever. But I personally, for my own self, I'd like to see the Bruins like at 8:00 on Saturday night.
Personally, for me, I'd rather not because I can work.
You have to work.
And sporting events like that are the death of comedy.
It is.
During the finals last year, I had booked a gig in a sports bar.
That's
and
not a
I'm
good
not
thing.
kidding. And
Did
the
they keep
hockey
it on?
song
They keep it on, right?
It was in a separate room, and the
you
whole
can't.
time, even I'm on stage, and I'm just going.
What's the
I could
score?
hear the noise through the divider, and I'm going. I'd rather be there. How they got 24 people to show up? It was. I literally said to them, "Are you the only people in the world who don't know that the Bruins are in the Stanley Cup Finals right now? We've got the only 12 non-hockey fans in New England."
Yeah.
So-
Well,
But how big?
I can't even imagine. It's like when bands too. How about when all these bars, sports bars, book bands, which I think is so stupid during playoffs. You have to have somebody in control of the televisions that knows the sports schedule for the local people. I can't tell you, stress enough. It doesn't happen so much in downtown Boston, but a lot of the suburbs, these restaurant and bar managers don't get it. The sports teams, the Bruins, Canadians will draw more, and people will drink more than your band. Playing Dropkick Murphy songs. I'm just telling. It frustrates it, and then they don't turn the. I love it when they don't turn the volume up in the bar.
Thank you.
Stupid.
Now
It's dumb.
I like this restaurant. They have good food. I'll preface it by saying that. Then I'll slam the shit out of them. The Fours, which was rated the best sports bar in America at one point in Sports Illustrated. Try getting them to turn on a hockey game. No, you get like Hall and Oates.
You gotta be kidding.
Yes.
In Quincy?
Both Norwell and Quincy.
On Canal Street.
Both Norwell and I don't know about Canal Street, but
Okay.
both Norwell and Quincy, they play radio, just regular songs you've heard 40,000 times, and don't turn up the game. Now they may do it in the playoffs, but they definitely didn't do it in the regular season.
I've never been to a playoff game, but I know because they have every game. I've only been there on Saturday afternoons.
USA
during
versus
football. So
USA versus Canada. Not this past Olympics. The Olympics before they didn't turn on the sound.
That's ridiculous.
Right.
Yes.
I was in a pool bar in Aruba.
I wish I could find the Sports Illustrated. No, you guys were the best sports bar in America.
Well, I know downtown. I mean, the one on Canal Street always has it.
Yes.
They always have the volume.
Right.
They're awesome.
That's why I was shocked. But the Norwell one, I can believe it.
Norwell and Quincy.
That's a beautiful people club.
Well,
that is a place
the
to go
families coming,
mingle.
and little Joey needs a coloring, thing at the table and all that crap.
No, you know what? All the TVs in that place could turn off at once, and nobody would notice, except for like about 3 guys at the bar, and I'd be one, and you'd be the other. So
great food.
You go turn up the volume. They go, turn up the volume.
Yep.
What do you mean? You
Great
want to kill
food.
my family too? I mean, that kind of reaction. That's what you get.
Yeah, see, they got to make up their mind. That's the problem. You either have to be a sports bar
Yes.
and restaurant, okay, or you're a music bar, it just happens to have some TVs around.
Right.
You can't be both.
It's not enough to just throw like referee shirts on the waitresses and go, now we're a sports bar. You know what I mean? That's right. Name a sandwich after Larry Bird or Magic Johnson or whatever, and we're good to go.
Yep.
And how big does the NHL have to decide they are before they don't move an event for a college graduation? Like, at what point do they just get enough balls to say, you know what? No, we're bigger than this. We are the NHL. Like, the NFL, this went right up my ass sideways last year, was when the NFL moved.
How does something go up your ass sideways?
Painfully.
Ouch.
Really. Come here, I'll show you. Was when they moved opening game, the ring game for the Ravens, for a September Orioles game, which one of 162, they were hopelessly out of it, or I don't know, maybe they're going for a wild card, but the Orioles were not going to be a factor. And the NFL blinked for them, and it wasn't even that they play in the same stadium, it was because they share a parking lot. At some point, you've got to just say, we're the United States. We're going to move wherever the frig we want. We're going to send our ships wherever we want. The NHL has to say, sorry, Northeastern, this is the Stanley Cup playoffs.
Well, it's the Northeastern. Then Montreal's got a concert at the Bell Center next week. I mean, it's all stuff that sometimes the building.
Like Bare Naked Ladies are going to be playing, so they got to worry about that.
There's some artist I didn't even recognize that's there next.
Remember the Bruins in Vancouver. Stanley Cup, they had to move that up a day. Remember, there was one part of that series. There was 2 days off instead of one because of it was. Remember, the acts were awful. Remember, it was like all these.
You're dealing with the ultimate dollar again. A team in the beginning of the season.
No, the Canadian dollar.
Too. But what a franchise in the beginning of the season says, what are the odds we're in the playoffs at this time? What are the odds we get these days? And they max them out. It sucks. Sure. And it's just, but you can't move a graduation. They have people coming in from all over the place.
Sure, so you have the graduation and say we're going to play a hockey game. It's not like it's not like the Garden is downtown and is down off of Huntington Ave.
They've done hockey and basketball on the same day, so I don't think it's. I mean, they have a little more time to convert.
There's a weird digression, but the most bizarre example of this ever, and this was before Greg's time, but remember when Johnny Pearson was the Bruins color?
Pearson's Pointers.
Yeah. And every year during the playoffs, he would take 2 weeks off to go to a furniture convention.
Yes.
Because he was in the furniture business.
Yeah. So he was an asshole then.
Yeah, I know.
I'll give you
all furniture people are assholes.
You announce all year long these stupid games against the California Golden Seals or whatever, and now the Bruins are going for a Stanley Cup. It's like, sorry, I got to go hang out with Barry and Elliott at the Ottoman section.
I'll give you a good Johnny Pearson story because I did the games years ago. So Johnny Pearson was doing the games at the time. So I got to know.
Back to you.
I get to know Pearson. He was doing the TV.
Yeah, I was great screech.
I was working with Bob Wilson doing the radio stuff. Years later, well after I was out of doing that, we ordered some chairs and wanted the chairs to be a certain kind of upholstery or whatever. My wife ordered them. I had nothing to do with them. So she said, "Would you watch the door today because they're coming to deliver the chairs or whatever?" And I said, "Oh, great, terrific," because she's not going to be there. All right. So the doorbell rings. I go to the front door. It's Johnny Pearson delivering my chair
on his back. With one of those belts around him with it on his back. Where do you want it? Where do you want it? Hurry up! I'm losing it. I'm losing it.
I'd be able to hire someone if I'd only gone to more furniture conventions.
But he had people actually delivering. But he was actually coming to inspect the fabric. He was just he was like the big mucky muck with the furniture company. But great guy. Oh.
What company was it? Rockman's?
No,
it was. Who else was big furniture? It was Jerry Remy's dad.
Really?
Big. Oh yeah, I remember back when Jerry was playing for California back then, and my parents we were in Warwick, Rhode Island. They came home and they said, "Oh, we just they got when it was in Taunton, I believe. Went to Jerry Remy's, got whole living room set there.
Oh.
Before anybody knew who he was, but he used to say, I'd play. Please don't ask me for tickets.
Did he pull out the telestrator and Pearson pointed out the parts of the fabric where it was good and where it was bad, and turn it over to Fred Larson?
Oh, forget his key to the game time.
Dave Reed.
I'll tell you, one of Johnny Pearson's best ever went in 1982-83 when the Bruins beat Buffalo in Game 7. They're down 2-0 when Brad Park scored that goal. And you hear Johnny Pearson, first of all, when he's going, and then he goes, watch the Sabres drop 10 pins in front of Who the hell was it playing goalie back then? I forget.
Oh God!
I forget.
Eddie Jockerman?
No. It was a simple name.
Pete Peters.
Well, Pete Peters playing for the Bruins, but
Dougie Keynes.
Okay, you know what, guys? There's one thing about TMZ and going at people. There's another when they now have an expose on 86-year-old Tommy Lasorda.
Oh, nice.
No. Does he have a tape?
They got Tommy clubbing in Hollywood with two young women on his arms.
I gotta get this picture. I'm trying to get it up right
he's
now.
86 years old, but
my God!
You know what? He wooed him by telling old Frank Sinatra stories.
I'm going to retweet it right now.
Tommy Lasorda still down to party. TMZ Sports shot footage of the Los Angeles Dodgers legend leaving Boa's Steakhouse last night with two women on his arm, walking over to the Bootsy Bellows nightclub on Sunset Strip. We're told that Tommy hit the club for his niece's birthday party. No word on how long he stayed inside the place.
Diane, meet my nieces. Remember that in Back to School?
Is this nephew Mike Piazza?
Yes. Yes. That's the only reason why he got drafted.
Yeah.
It turned out to be a great thing. He was one of the last picks ever in the draft.
Yeah, and then he found steroids.
I tell you what, they get everything. How about this one? The men who allegedly broke into Paul George's home and stole more than $15,000 in jewelry and other items were caught on tape. And now cops are on the hunt to bring them to justice. They actually have the footage of the security tape here of the guy ripping off Paul George's house.
Well, you got to delete that like Aaron Hernandez did.
Question, and Tony V has brought this up before. If you scroll back down to that security camera, why is it we have LED televisions that you can see like Susan Warnock's face at a 1,000-degree level, but every security camera you see is this faded-out Sasquatch picture?
Yeah.
And Tony's brought that up before. It's a very funny joke, but it makes sense.
It is a good point.
Although, you know what? Current cameras, like at the mall and stuff, they are like high-def TV.
Why aren't they all?
Like, to the point where, like, because you just, like, you assume, like Tony V says, they'll look like in a, you watch one of those cop shows and there's someone, like, robs a liquor store or whatever. It's just some little crappy black and white. No, to the point where they're so good that if I have to, like, scratch my nose at the mall, I go out to my car and get it because I know someone's watching me and they're going to think I'm mining for booger nuggets or whatever. So Jet's finding one of my all-time favorite audio tapes.
That looks like a doctored photo.
Tommy Lasorda taking Kurt
This one is a doctored photo of Jameis Winston.
bit.
They have Jameis Winston out in front of a public supermarket holding on to crabs.
He looks like the hands look like the scene from Beetlejuice with the shrimp.
If you missed the story earlier, Jameis Winston was picked up by cops because apparently he stole $32.72 worth of crab legs from a Publix grocery store. Crab legs and crawfish. And guess what? They've got the video. It's never good.
No.
It's like you're lowbrowing. You're Lindsay Lohaning it here when you do this. When they have you on video. Jameis Winston did release a statement today saying, quote, "I went to the supermarket with the intent to purchase dinner, but I made a terrible mistake.
I forgot to pay."
A terrible mistake would be like not being able to use the self-checkout line and just, screw it, I'm out of here.
Bad news for the Florida State baseball team. The coach, Mike Martin, says as a result of his citation last year, we are suspending Winston from the baseball team. But don't worry, football fans, because he'll be behind center beginning in September.
Right, the number 8 hitter gets benched, but he's going to be back going for his second Heisman. That's very magnanimous of you guys.
That's nice of them, huh?
There's so many obvious jokes in there about his last discretion involving a clam, and now he's stealing crabs. You word it the way you want to word it, but they're the ingredients for you right there.
Oh, Jimbo Fisher did respond today. We got a quote from old Jimbo today. "I fully support Coach Martin's decision and will also make sure that Jameis meets all of his obligations, which I know he will, and he'll be ready for game one."
Did I say it's community service?
Community service.
Yeah, I know that. But you know what? It's $30 fine in community service.
Yeah.
What's community service when you steal fish?
Just to go crabbing.
What do you do?
What do you do? If the NCAA just put in that plan to feed these kids like that box lunch that they're planning with the apple in it and everything, then this wouldn't have happened.
All right,
he was driven to this.
Let me ask you guys this. How did Shaquille O'Neal, he's got to be thanking Donald Sterling because he really saved his ass this past week. Shaquille O'Neal's called and apologized to a Michigan man.
I brought this up yesterday.
With a rare genetic disorder, who claimed that Shaq was mocking him in an Instagram photo, or the Instagram, as Donald Sterling likes to refer to it. Shaq tweeted, "Made a new friend today when I called and apologized to Jamel Binion. Great dude. Hashtag always learning. Hashtag my bad cuz." Jamil, who has a disorder called ectodermal dysplasia, had said he felt hurt and bullied when Shaq posted a side-by-side picture on Instagram earlier this week.
It's close.
Instagram. The Instagram. It's a condition, apparently, that causes abnormalities in the teeth and the hair and the skin and more. And obviously, we're looking at the picture here, and it...
well, at the least, he didn't tackle him like he did the guy last month.
So Shaq apologized, but how did he escape this other than Donald Sterling thing, right?
Oh, yeah.
Well, I thought he was going to come out last night and say something about it. And
I didn't see him say
He
anything.
didn't.
Sorry.
I thought he was going to address it, and he didn't.
Sorry for doing it.
It's
Sorry
the classic
sorry.
maneuver. If you've done something stupid and you get caught, the best thing that can happen is someone doing something worse that draws everyone's attention. If you remember the 2001, the circle was tightening around, I think it was John Edwards. There was just some corrupt politician who was up to his eyeballs in scandal. And then, 9/11 happened. And you said, you know what? In a weird way, he's off the hook now, because by the time this plays itself out, we're never going to remember that he existed, But when we were talking about Tommy Lasorda, I asked Jet to call up one of my all-time favorite audio clips, and this was Tommy Lasorda the day he took Kurt Bavacqua off the mound out of a game, and I'm guessing that this is how he wooed those two beautiful young ladies.
I have never, ever, since I've managed, ever told a pitcher to throw at anybody, nor will I ever. And if I ever did, I certainly wouldn't make him throw at a fucking 130 hitter like LaFay or fucking Bavacqua, who couldn't hit water if he fell out of a fucking boat. And I guarantee you this, when I pitched, and I was going to pitch against a fucking team that had guys on it like Bavacqua, I sent a fucking limousine to get the sucker to make sure he was in the motherfucking lineup, because I kicked that sucker's ass any fucking day in a week.
Did they miss a bleep? Because I heard one clear.
I didn't set it up exactly right. There was another one where he was taking someone out of a game and just started doing that. I'm the bleeping friggin' manager, and I was friggin' bleeping.
Do you remember the 77? There was 77 to 78 World Series. One of the first times that manager was mic'd up, and he goes out, and I think it was Tommy John pitching for the Dodgers at the time. He goes out there. And he knew he was going to take him out. He's trying to stall time, and he really waits. And I forget the umpire's name, comes out, and he's like, "Well, I don't know. Say his name's Ron." Well, he's like, "Well, Ron." Well, he goes, "Tommy, you gotta quicken up." He goes, "What are you gonna do?" He goes, "Ron, well, I don't know. I don't know what to do. Tell me what I should do. Should I leave him in there? Should I take him out?" He goes, "Tommy, I can't tell you that." He goes, "You gotta tell me that, because I'm sitting here. I'm very confused." He said, "It's a tie game in the World Series. Tell me what to do. Should I take him out?" You tell me to take him out, and he looks at me and goes, "All right, I'm gonna take him out." And he puts it was all mic'd up. It's one of the funniest exchanges ever.
I don't know if you know this. Tommy John had elbow problems.
Yeah, he did. He did. Yeah.
Did he ever get that? Did he ever get that fixed?
I think he had surgery on it.
Did he?
Yeah.
I always thought it was weird that he got Tommy John surgery. What are the odds?
Lou Gehrig's disease.
Yeah.
I mean, what are the odds he gets
His
it?
parents never should have named him that, because you're just asking to get the disease.
The Pilgrims left Plymouth, England, and somehow they landed in Plymouth, Massachusetts. It's just the most. These things happen sometimes.
All right, we'll take a break. We'll be right back. We'll check out some of our texts if we can find them here, and then we'll get to the wine line coming up at 5:45.
And now,
It's the Big Show Unfiltered.
with your host, Glenn Ordway.
The Big O.
Today on The Big Show Unfiltered.
This is Richard Nixon from the grave. I've learned a very valuable lesson. Always ask, is that thing on?
We're joined by Jerry Thornton, here to impart his sports knowledge and random esoteric postulations.
What is the point of being a rapper if you don't have a penis?
Donald Sterling is still banned for life, which, at his age, and the amount of new enemies he's just made, might not be all that long.
I am banning Mr. Sterling for life from any association with the Clippers organization or the NBA.
Greg Murphy is here laying down the laws of sports fan conduct.
If you're older than the guy that you want to boo, you can't boo. You're a loser.
And Pete Shepard's just laying down the law, period.
Stop playing like pussies and do something.
All that in the Big O on this Donald Sterling Sucks edition of...
He has zero redeeming value.
The Big Show
Unfiltered.
All right, back here on Big Show Unfiltered, the Bruins and the Canadiens finally will get underway. Game 1 coming up tomorrow night. And Game 2 is, we said, Saturday afternoon. It looks like it's going to be 12:30.
No Nesson tomorrow night, right? Is that,
no, I do not believe. Check it out.
I have the game tomorrow.
The NHL Network still didn't have the schedule up there.
No?
No.
You know what, Pete? It's the NHL. This is normal with the NHL. It's the NHL.
Hey, they run out of Toronto. Everything works slowly up there.
Right.
We'll get to it.
The one thing they always get right, though, always get rid of the replays. Something that Major League Baseball still can't figure out, but they always get the replays right. So we're just going to settle with the replays. We're fine with the replays, and look at it that way. No?
Well, 3 Game 7s tonight. Looking forward to it.
What are your picks, Pete?
Well, what I picked on my brackets for the NHL, I had San Jose in 7. Which I reluctantly did, but I picked them anyway because I want to. I'm part of it with my heart because I want to see Joe back here against the Bruins for a cup.
That'd be interesting.
Yeah, it'd be great. I picked Avalanche in 7.
We're gonna have to debate the Joe Thornton trade.
Oh, well, you know that's gonna come up.
Oh yeah,
one of the worst trades in
the worst trade.
The history of
it's the only
Boston
time.
sports.
It's the only time an MVP of the season was traded mid-season.
Yeah, they'll disagree with me.
And who were the other 2 picks you had?
They had Philadelphia in 7. So I need Philly, the Avalanche, and San Jose.
I would go with the Rangers playing Game 7
gotcha.
At home.
I have that one.
I will go with San Jose, though.
I have LA.
Though Pete brought this up a week ago. And
why do I get the feeling Jonathan Quick is going to steal the show tonight?
Because he has the last 3 games.
It's one thing. It's one thing's going to happen. Either they win like 1-0. LA does.
Do you remember him early on in the series?
That's what I mean. It's either 1-0 or San Jose blitzes them like they did in the first.
I think
2 games.
I think LA's got too much momentum.
They have a lot. They have a lot right now.
And
that's what game I'm looking forward to tonight the most.
Colorado, I have as well.
I have Colorado.
Yeah, I have Colorado.
Yeah,
I take
Colorado.
Colorado.
You had to pick the series in games too to get.
Yeah.
All right, we're not going to wait till tomorrow. Pete, who do you like? Bruins. You like the Bruins, but how many games?
I think it's a long series. I mean, if I say 6, it's 6 or. I mean, does it really
matter?
Listen,
you nailed it with 5. Just pick a number.
Yeah. I'm going to pick the Bruins in 7.
Okay.
And we're going to be sitting here for the next 2 weeks being frustrated after some games and then joyful after. And the key is not to get too high, not to get too low, because we're going to win on their ice. They're going to win here. It's inevitable.
We do highs and lows really good. That's what you're supposed to do.
And with lots, hopefully, of bad blood. Because that's what
I don't think you have to worry about that.
Because like you started off this segment about the Bruins, Glenn. You said that they're a team that you can hate, and they hate the Bruins. Right. The fan bases hate each other. And as a matter of fact, I'll go a step further and say you almost couldn't pick a more hateable team. Like their style of play,
the most
their
hateable.
fans, like you couldn't create them. They're like a wrestling heel, like a character that you just invented. You know what I mean? They're like what the Iron Sheik was back in the day.
I just don't want to see. I don't want to see any major injuries, and that's the only thing I'm afraid of. And I don't want to see the Bruins
talk about PC.
Just don't be. Don't play stupid.
Don't
succumb to the Canadian.
Subban slipped.
But you know what I'm talking about. I mean, I don't want to see the Bruins win a cheap shot way.
Riddle me this: in Montreal, do they still have that stanchion that
no, that's been taken out across the
league. Oh, no, the league now has this curved glass that works
Although you can hit Pierre Maguire now,
you can,
which is good if he sticks his head out.
Like what?
I still don't understand. By the way, the other thing I'm noticing now on the side, along the glass there are other people that are doing the same thing. They have the Hockey Night in Canada people. When they have a Hockey Night in Canada game, they have another guy next to him.
Yeah.
First of all,
Glenn Healy does it.
Right.
Yeah.
He's so Pierre Maguire is talking like this, and somebody else is doing it right next to him.
Yeah. Why is it all the goalies?
Because goalies see more.
They see the game.
They see the game better.
They see the game.
It's like catchers. They see the game.
But they don't interfere with each other because it's the same soundproof booth technology they use on Jerry Springer.
In prison.
Like when you're out back there and your baby mama is saying that it's yours or whatever.
All right, my picks? Are we doing my picks?
Yeah.
Yes.
7 games, Bruins in 7. Every team is a home win. We win 2, lose 2, and
I will disagree with that respectfully.
We lose somebody not for the playoffs, but mid-series from an Emlyn hit.
I think there's at least one team,
Krejci, maybe.
one win on the opposing.
Yeah, I'm going to go with Pete on that. I think it's a long series. I think it's 7 games.
I think 7.
Well.
Yeah.
But I do not believe it. It just has. It has to be 7. You know, I look at it and I say the Bruins are better and the Bruins should win in 6, but something will happen.
Something quirky will happen.
Something quirky will happen.
A storyline will happen that we don't think is going to happen.
We'll extend this to 7 games, but I don't buy the
Fluky
home
goal.
ice I think there'll be the Bruins will win 1 up there and Montreal will win 1 down here. And you like it in?
I like the Bruins in 7, and my over-under on the Canadians scoring rebound goals is like half. I think for Rask is as good as there is, but one thing that he just will not surrender is a rebound goal, because even if he doesn't cover up, they can't get through the Bruins defense. They're just not physical enough. The Bruins
It's
are
very
too
difficult.
big.
It's very difficult to do
The
it.
Bruins defense is like that nasty dog, and you hit the ball over the fence, and you just go, fuck it. Let's just not go after the ball. They will clear it out.
Obviously, in The Sandlot, that movie. Of course, that was Benny the Jet Rodriguez.
Yeah. You know what you do see though? You do see more of in a series against Montreal. And this might piss some people off, is the Bruins, because they're that big physical team, they will dump the puck in a little bit more than they normally do against other teams, and then they will use the body, obviously, to free it up and get something going. But
because they are such cheap shot artists.
Well,
look at them. They call it physical. I say it's dirty. This is dirty play.
It's a special team. It's a special team series. Whoever wins the special teams, and I think Chara is going to drive them nuts for our power play.
Well, now, because it's different when they were 0 for 21 a couple of years ago on the power play until they got to Vancouver, it is much different because of the Barkowski and Hamilton emergence of how they can handle the puck on a power play. Allowing Chara to go down low is something that they did not have to deal with a lot a couple of years ago, because Bruins just didn't have the blue line people that can handle it back there. Now, it's there. I think it's a gigantic difference. So that is going to be interesting to see what they do. And again, I told you, Gallagher leads the league in goaltending interference. Watch him. He's a second-line right wing for the Canadians. Watch him when he's down low.
Every time I hear that name, I think of Smashing Fruit. I don't know what it is.
I'm just going to call him Sledge-O-Matic for the entire series.
I met Gallagher, by the way.
Oh, no kidding.
Yeah, I was doing a show in Vegas, and he was in the green room with me.
Smash the watermelon?
The real Gallagher.
Is he still alive?
He's still alive because I was talking to him, and we're in the green room watching the show that's going on, and he is making fun of the comedian on stage. He's, look at this. He's a hack. Look, that joke didn't work. And I went, you smashed fruit. That's your hack. You smashed fruit, and you're berating this guy?
See, this is perfect. Microcosm of how your career is better than mine, because the best I can say is I worked literally the same week as Gallagher 2.
Yes.
His brother...
Big lawsuit, by the way.
His brother who looked just like him and did the exact same act. So it was at the Connection when it was at Faneuil Hall, which, if you remember, that place was a massive barn with a huge stage.
Yeah, I saw Bobby Schimmel there.
Yeah, to do comedy there, you pretty much have to walk back and forth around the stage to occupy the kind of space. Well, the stage was covered in plastic wrap. So every step you took, you had like watermelon guts like sticking to the bottom of your shoes. So like... because all the people who go to see Gallagher too sit there, it's just like Gallagher, except it's an incredible
By law.
we don't get watermelon squishings on us.
By law, he's not allowed to grow a mustache. Gallagher too. I swear to God.
That's part of the lawsuit.
Because he was
impersonating
his brother. He was taking his brother's act. He was taking the real Gallagher's
I thought it was
act.
like with permission, they
hate each other.
Like Joshua Tree plays U2 music.
Nope,
no?
they hate each other.
So have you seen Gallagher 2? Have you seen his act?
I've never seen Gallagher 2. I heard it was a terrible sequel.
I heard he was. I didn't like Gallagher. He used to be on Showtime.
Electric Boogaloo.
Did you guys catch the line in the Avengers? The one right when they all get together when they're on the ship, and Robert Downey Jr. says that man says to Thor, that man is playing Gallagher. Probably, and I wonder how many people actually caught. And I cracked up on the movie theater. I'm like, how many people probably know what he was talking about?
I was Galaga.
Huh?
Galaga was a video game. It was like, that's what you're saying. Not he's playing Gallagher.
It's a Nintendo game.
Galaga. Yeah.
No. I know that part.
Oh, okay.
I'm talking about when Robert Downey Jr. first walks in and says to Thor, he points to him, he goes, that man's playing Gallagher. He goes, you probably didn't realize it.
Potato.
No, you're kidding me.
Tomato.
I swear to God.
That's a better line.
Yes.
I thought he was just pointing out the video game.
No, the video game was at the end of the conversation where he said, get us. No, you got to. It's.
All right, now I'm going to watch that again.
And I was like the only one in the movie theater that cracked up.
I can always learn from like I feel like
I'm telling you.
I feel like
I see things other people
find out if it's Gallagher or Gallagher.
Guys, but Greg,
It makes perfect sense because Thor's smashing everything with the hammer.
Absolutely.
They are arguing about this line.
I have learned from him. There are always two there are, the master and the apprentice. And Pete has taught me that's a Star Wars line, by the way.
You tried to challenge the master.
I am your Padawan.
I said it to we were in the movie theater watching, and I said, she goes, what are you laughing at? He said, Gallagher, remember the guy that used to smash fruit? I said, how many people got that reference? And all the little kids, and I'm dying about the line,
And so it's not ripping him off to do the exact same act if you don't have a mustache.
He got sued.
That's unbelievable.
Can't grow a mustache now.
Oh, that's the
He used to have those
greatest
shows
thing
on
ever.
Showtime. It wasn't even Showtime. I thought they were awful. I never found it funny.
The lowest form of comedy.
Why is that funny?
He's one of the most hated comedians among comedians in the country.
Yeah.
More than Carrot Top. Is Carrot Top hated?
People actually say Carrot Top's a very nice guy.
I have met Carrot Top.
People say he's a
Wait
very
a
nice
minute,
guy.
even
That's
better.
a bucket list.
Even better. I had lunch with Carrot Top.
What'd you have?
Carrots?
I was there for.
Did he pull out shit out of a bag?
I'm almost embarrassed to say this. No, you know what I was doing? I was out in L.A. and Lenny Clark was out there, and I was getting together with Lenny Clark, and Lenny was doing the final Hollywood Squares. Remember that show?
Jim J. Bullock for the block.
Yeah. Was it? Yeah,
Hollywood
Jim
Square.
J. Bullock
was
Hollywood
center.
Square.
Yeah,
So
Jim
it was
J.
like
Bullock
it was like
center
the
square.
final
Bruce
show.
Valanche.
Final show they were
And what's his
doing.
name from Boston was
Tom Bergeron.
Tom Bergeron was doing.
So Tom Bergeron and all of the stars, they had lunch, and Lenny invited me in there, and I sat there with Carrot Top. Nice guy.
I heard he's a very nice guy.
Not real funny.
No, he's not.
He looks like he's on roids now.
He is. He works out.
He is printing money in Vegas. He's got his own
That's what I
show.
heard.
His own show at is it the Luxor or the Lennox?
Is it funny?
No.
It's Carrot Top. He pulls things out of a box
makes
and he
props
calls it
but a very nice guy. Asking about you and
Very
asking
shy, I
about
guess.
people. And no, I didn't find him to be shy. I thought he was. He talked an awful lot. He was pretty open about. Talking about stuff. All right, I gotta read this, and then we'll get to the wine line here, because this is going to be the problem that the commissioner is going to have. LeBron James is coming out right now, and he's urging a very swift vote by the owners.
It's supposed to be Tuesday.
So in other words, they want to get this done as quickly as possible. Now, I don't think he realizes that vote literally has nothing to do with any of this. Because,
Right.
I mean, Donald Sterling could ride this thing for who knows how many years. He says, we're fighting to get an owner out of the league who shouldn't be a part of our league. And this is where, if I'm Donald Sterling, I love this line. No matter how long it takes, no matter how much money it costs, we need to get him out of there, and whoever is associated with him doesn't belong in our league. Uh-oh, Shelley.
See? Now this will.
So
LeBron said this. It's going to carry weight.
And again, he's saying it doesn't matter how much it costs. How much is he going to kick in? How much of his personal fortune, that pile of gold that he sleeps on every night, is he putting up for?
I wish he mentioned her by name. I wish he mentioned the.
Well, I don't know. You don't even know if he's just talking about Shelley.
So let me ask you this.
He could be talking about.
Let me ask you guys this.
It could be more owners. I'm not convinced that this guy went to owners' meeting and sat there by himself, ate lunch by himself.
I'm not either.
And just did everything on his own.
I'm not either.
There's no way. He's got to have some form of a confidant or friend within the league.
Well, look at it this way. If you're working with somebody, you're around other guys that own businesses, and you're in franchise. You're telling me when you guys get together, you don't realize which ones are racist and which ones might be, pretty open-minded about other people. You can't tell that. Let's say you get together in a convention and you're seeing these guys 3 times a year, because you're probably seeing them when they come into your building or you're traveling to their building, and you come into them for the All-Star game and some other things. Are you telling me in conversations that you have that are private, they're very similar, like being with your 31-year-old girlfriend, and just having a private conversation? You're telling me that you can't figure that out? 33 years they went by. This guy is the longest tenured owner in the league. He had to approve the other 29 owners. He had to sit down and talk with them, have conversations, figure out what they were all about. But this is the line that gets me about LeBron, because Donald Sterling is hearing this. No matter how much money it's going to cost. He's right. He now is looking at this saying, Milwaukee, $550 million? Screw that. I want $1.3 billion
right,
for mine. You're getting a new TV contract. I'll hold out. And you know what? I'll give it up at $1.3 billion. Do you think LeBron James? Do you think the other players, or because it's going to cost the owners dearly, the new owner dearly if they buy into this thing? Do you think that if they can't find an owner to come in and buy it for 1.2 or 1.3 billion, do you think the players are willing to chip in some of the money to get rid of this guy?
No, I don't.
No, and technically they can't. They're not allowed to.
I understand that.
Right.
But do you think they would even? No.
I don't think LeBron James is a particularly bright person, personally.
I disagree.
I don't think. I think he's an egomaniac. I think the thing with no, that's not it. I think the thing with the shirts the other day was 100% his decision, and that they didn't get that the Clippers turned their jerseys inside, their shooting shirts inside out to not show the Clipper logo. It wasn't a sign of we hate racism, and so he orchestrated that.
You don't know if that was 100% his decision. So what you're doing?
Yes,
is
I do.
Because you can't stand him, and you think he has a huge ego.
He does have. What do you mean?
Gives you the indication that he's not a bright guy?
He's made
because I've heard
he didn't go to college.
No,
he's made very good business decisions.
He's made great business decisions.
He's not. He doesn't run his business. Maverick Carter runs his business.
Come on. He is a big part of his business. It's not like
I disagree.
He's not like he's a puppet on some string or whatever.
I disagree.
He's a very bright guy.
I don't think so. I don't think so.
I've done the math here.
Yes.
The bigger you threw out $1.3 billion, it would cost each of the other 29 owners to pay this guy off to go away $44,827,586 apiece. How many of them do you think are willing to pay to write that check to stand on principle the way LeBron James said?
Ain't happening.
No.
All right, we got the Weiner line. It is coming up next.
Time now for the Weiner line.
My wife can score more than 2 buckets on 11 shots because I know my wife will at least shot fake 1 time.
The Weiner line.
I'm not even going to answer that. That's just silly. Next.
Call 617-600-7183.
No, I don't give a rat's ass what the hell you think. I'm saying to you, look at these guys here. Look at them.
And now.
Give me a break. What a terrible call. That guy, they should throw him out of the league on that call.
The Weiner line on the Big Show Unfiltered.
All right, Chet. Let's stoke it up.
It's a beautiful day in the neighborhood.
You missed us last
Beautiful day in Tom Werner's neighborhood. Won't you be mine? Sure. Hi, boys and girls. It's me again, Tom Werner. And today we're going to learn about tape recorders. Sure. And how they can get you in trouble. Yeah. Look up on Mr. Picture. You'll see a picture recorder. Let's have some fun. Watch this. Hello there. I should have more power than Larry Lucchino. Let's watch how it works. Hello there. I should have more power than Larry Lucchino. Say that? Sure. Maybe the last part I shouldn't have done. Hey, anyone know how to erase these things? Hey, come here. I need to take this off. Well, anyway, join me again for another episode of Tom Werner's Friendly Neighborhood.
Tom Werner checking in on the Weiner line.
Nice. He had a great pine tar one last week with Pineda got.
When's Lady Elaine Fairchild going to make it in? Who looks exactly like Mike Shanahan.
That show seems to be going well for Tom Werner. It's good.
Yeah, my friend keeps bragging because he's getting all these wines across, and I told him, well, it's because everybody gets on because, they haven't built up the listenership yet. Someday they will, but, they're an upstart project, and, so everybody basically gets on. Am I right?
Yes.
Thanks.
Yeah.
Yes. Yeah. You got to show some patience.
Yeah,
thank you very much.
it's
But
been
we
awesome.
thank you
It's
for
been
calling,
awesome.
and thank you.
Thank you.
Yo, Pete.
Yo.
Mayday. I can't do this anymore. I can't stand working for this company no longer. The executive turns here for the past 18 months have run this station into the ground.
Yep.
They will not even talk to me anymore. I have a lot of great ideas. If the EEI bosses would have taken my calls, I could have given them the winning game plan. Number 1, let's sell the Ordway Marconi Award. Jesus Christ. That thing just sits around here like a freaking cold rat. Number 2, let's increase the power of our signal by hanging Tom Brady's jersey from the podcast antenna. Number 3, suck it. Call me back for number 3. I'm going out in my own way. Peace out, dog. I'm out.
Very diplomatic.
Hey, Jed, I don't know if you have the sound from the old EI days when Glenn and Pete were in a little bit of a fight on the air, and Glenn asked Andy to turn off Pete's mic, and then Pete said he'd go sit in the corner and never mind him. That was pretty hilarious if you can find it and play it.
Not allowed.
We can't.
Not allowed.
Was it hilarious? I don't know. I don't remember that. Was it good? Do you know what he's talking about?
Yeah, I do. I know exactly what he's talking about.
Yeah,
Pete was out of control one day.
No,
Forgot
no,
to
it
take his
wasn't. No,
medication.
Glenn
He later
missed it.
apologized and said he hadn't. And I told him
It was just
the
the
producer to shut his microphone. I'll do that someday with you.
I'm paying for this microphone, Mr. Green.
Get out of my house. That's what it's going to turn into.
Yo, Big O. This lifetime ban and zero tolerance policy over at the NBA, does that apply to players, former players, and Hall of Famers as well? When's the press conference announcing Dennis Rodman's lifetime ban for visiting a North Korean dictator? Also, nice of the league to give Jesse Jackson on-court access last night prior to tip-off. Remember what he said about candidate Obama back in 2008 when he didn't know he was being recorded?
That's right.
Google it sometime.
That's a good point.
He's a man of peace. What a bunch of frauds.
Right.
Nothing like white guilt.
But Charles Barkley once said, "See, this is why I hate white people."
Right.
And white America said, yeah, it's pretty funny. Yeah, that's it. We roll. I'm not saying the two are comparable.
Another billionaire caught on tape. This time, Boston Bruins owner Jeremy Jacobs.
Look, I like you. I like you a lot. I know you're Canadian. What the hell's your name anyway? Madison. That's a girl's name. No, I'm just saying. I never heard of Dolly Madison. Madison. Look, I've gone back and visited you folks. Bay of Fundy, New Brunswick. Give me a break. But I don't want any Canadians in my building for the series. I own the place. I own the team. I said, no, listen, what the hell are you looking at anyway? Give me a phone. What the hell's an Instagram? All Canadians, huh? I got nothing against Canadians. I got all these seats in my building reserved for Boston fans for the series. No. What are you gonna cry on me now?
I like the stance. No Canadians.
No Canadians.
No Canadians. Don't allow 'em.
Yeah.
Hey, Big O, Blackbeard here.
Hey, Blackbeard.
I was watching the Red Sox game last night.
Yes.
It was another episode of the most uninteresting manager in the world, Joe Madden. What the hell happened in the 6th inning for the Rays? Because it was too cold for Joe Cool to come out of the dugout. He has earned more frequent flyer miles for trips to the mound. What about last night, Joe? You fraud. Did he have frostbite on his wine drinking picking finger? Too much ice in his white wine? Did his little grapes shrivel up into raisins? Joe Madden is the biggest fraud going, period. He doesn't always like Boston, but when he does, he prefers July. Stay fraudulent, Joe. Stay fraudulent. This is Blackbeard, and I'm out.
I'm with him. I watched hockey last night. Dan Girardi took a slap shot in the rib cage.
It's ridiculous.
Skates off. I'd switch to the Red Sox. They're in hoods. Joe Madden's wearing earmuffs.
How about to do a close-up on the? I forget the player for the Rays had a little scrape on his elbow, tiny little bit of blood. Oh, Steve Lyons like, oh boy,
that's smart.
That could be that's smart.
I went to a game in the first week of the season against the Rays. Pedro is pitching. I swear to you, half the Rays guys will come to the plate wearing ski masks. I said, "This game's over. It's good." You might as well just say, "Look, we're just too coddled to ever play this thing."
It was cold there last night.
Mm-hmm. Hey, Glenn, satellite feed comes and goes, but you were talking about Tom Yorkie. Were you saying he had a cockatoo? I didn't hear that part in the history books.
One he stuck up his ass.
Gene had the other.
In regards to this whole Sterling situation, there's one thing that everyone is not talking about. That his mistress is wearing a miner's mask, and that Sterling is into some really kinky shit sexually.
Strange mask. That's a strange thing.
Hello, this is John Sterling, and I just want to make it perfectly clear that I am not the Sterling that has disgraced the NBA. It is Donald Sterling, not John Sterling. He is high, he is far, he is gone from the NBA.
Normally when you see a woman wearing something like that has the miner's mask, you're saying they're trying to hide, what they are. But in this case, in L.A., they wear strange things. There's nobody wearing one of these miner masks. So when you see her in a crowd, you say, that's V. Stiviano right there.
She's not blending in.
Plus, she's got two security guys.
Right, that's what I was going to
say V. Stiviano.
The guy who called the Winer line 3 freaking times yesterday, for the love of God, stop. Take a break and get some new material because you're ruining the Winer line. You know who you are.
It's begun.
The rule has got to be 2, and they got to be great wines.
It's begun. Winer on Winer crime.
But you got to have... To get a second one on the same day, it really has to be
like Bill Walton back in the day.
Yes, it really has to be. The old Bill Walton got 5 and just continued on.
Some guy who did Frank Kona and then Kraft.
Yeah.
Right, remember him? Yeah.
Whatever happened to him?
Yeah.
Hello, this is Mary Carrillo.
Mary?
After the release of the shocking tape featuring Clippers owner Donald Sterling, the sports world was thrown into a state of confusion upon the release of a new tape. This one featuring the voice of Red Sox principal owner John Henry.
Yes. Wanda, this is getting ridiculous. I'm very upset.
Why?
I'm just sick of all these old rich guys at Fenway.
And it bothers you.
Yeah.
I just don't understand what the issue is.
The issue is, I'm on the yacht trying to catch the game on Nesson. It's like the cast of Cocoon behind home plate. Every game. Especially that guy with the giant yellow headphones.
Does it matter if they're white or blue or yellow?
No, it's just the yellow headphones show up more on camera. It's really distracting.
Sorry that you feel that way.
Why don't we mix it up? Bring some of your friends to the game.
I'm sorry, I don't have any more friends.
They're still upset from the time I tried to mind meld with them. I realize on my planet that's an honor.
So I understand that that's the way you were raised and that's your culture, and I'm respectful.
I know. Well, I appreciate your patience.
I'm
sorry. Jinx. Mercedes.
More on this story tonight after Hider in the House.
Oh, awesome. All right, if you're a couple and you're announcing your baby coming, do you do it to a Taylor Swift song?
I remember when we had a baby, the first time saying this is it. I've had enough. Cause we hadn't slept an hour in a month when I said you need to change.
What? Then I come around again and say, baby, these diapers, I swear I'm gonna change. Trust me.
Remember how that lasted for a day?
I say, I hate them. They're stinky.
Change it.
I love you.
Oh, God.
10 months past, we got this down. Good thing, cause we're telling you, we are having another baby. We are having.
Is this like national?
Another baby.
What does it end?
Shocked, so are your friends. So are our friends. So are we. But we are having another baby.
Is it over?
For real.
I have never rooted for 2 kids to grow up in foster care.
Oh, yeah.
Entire life.
Colin DYS.
Just no DUI. Just die.
Let's take.
And the husband is 2 generations from the guys who took Iwo Jima. What the hell's happened to America?
Let's take it up a couple notches. This is rapper Cassidy with a song about, and everybody's doing it these days, Donald Sterling.
The Clippers own it, Donald Sterling should get the hell smacked. How that man don't like niggas when most of the Clippers the hell black. Well, that's a clear sign racism ain't over yet. His girlfriend taking pictures with Magic Johnson is what got him so upset. The people need to boycott, cause that shit was lame. That's hatred. If you not racist, you should never go to a Clippers game. I take it personal. The commissioner got some work to do. Hopefully that man volunteer to resign and get the out of there.
There you go. There's rapper Cassidy. He's one of we found
Sean Cassidy?
No, nothing.
David?
There are probably 15 rap songs out there today about this guy.
The next great auto-tune has to be done.
Well, Puff Daddy did Fuzzy Zeller right after, if you remember.
Yeah,
that.
that's right. That's right. He did. All right. Good seeing all of you guys. Good seeing you. Welcome back there, Mr. Thornton.
Good to be back.
We appreciate it. We're out of here, Jet.
Please tell me it's over. The Big Show Unfiltered is over.
The Big Show Unfiltered.
If you missed any part of it, we've got good news.
Listen all over again.
Yep, the whole thing's posted for you online to listen to anytime at www.bigshowunfiltered.com or www.sportstalkboston.com. And you can listen every weekday live from 3 to 6 Eastern. Same places, sportstalkboston.com and bigshowunfiltered.com. Plus, listen through the TuneIn radio app on your smartphone. Just search for Big Show Unfiltered. And if you got a fancy satellite radio, you can listen on Sirius XM channels 108 and 206. It's The Big Show
Unfiltered.
Which means technically I could swear if I wanted to, but I won't. Fuck it, I will.